everybody? Dadman Walking 55 here, coming to you tonight, 2 minutes after 9 on the east coast of the great USA and the wonderful the Eastern time zone, the only time zone that should be in existence. It should be the one time zone for the whole wide world. But hey, as you know from sports ball and all, it is the dominating time zone that's out there for everybody. But anyway, hey, everybody else gets to play at 11 o'clock in the morning. We don't. So, hey, a little sports ball thrown in for all you people out here tonight. So, get ready for something special tonight. There's something undadman like coming. Oh, hold on the Twitch side. Let me do that. Make sure. Oh, thank you, Mrs. Dadman. She already disabled the emote only on the Twitch side. What would I do without the great Mrs. Dadman out here? But listen, folks, love you guys. Tonight, sit back, relax. Tonight we smashed the living frickin' hell out of Dadman is Only Sports Ball. If it did not happen the other night with Battlestar Galactica, and if it did not happen with my Boomer wonderful thing the other night with a glorious co-host talking about Indiana Jones, tonight we'll put this bad reputation to rest, hopefully forever. I want to say thank you to everybody that's here. I'm going to wait to acknowledge everybody in the chat. Hope stay with us a bit. I want to bring my great panelists on who I cannot do this without. I want to bring them on, and then we'll talk to you in the chat, and then we will talk about what we're up to tonight. You've seen the tweet. Go look at the tweet that just went out. Retweet it again if you can. I teased a little bit more about what we're doing, folks. It's something definitely different, something definitely out of this world. But hey, let me quit running in circles. We're about 3 minutes after, so let's go, and we will bring on the first member of this great panel. Because as you saw, we actually had the three, equate them to the three seashells. We will not do, and our wonderful, with our wonderful parallel to the Demolition Man show that we did at one point. Definitely not. That's what we're saying here. But we are definitely having some fun with a lot of things, especially with our mystery guests later. It's really, really fun with these. So I'm going to show it to you here, like we've done here. This has been our primary graphic that we've had lately, and I will show it to you now. And right here, ta-da! Special stream announcement. We got 3 people here for that. Dun, dun, dun. All right. So after that long, dramatic, drawn-out introduction and stuff, let me bring on the first great member of this wonderful panel that is assembled tonight. Like I said, find out who the special guests are tonight. And so, well, the first one should not be a surprise to you. He's the man that keeps me streaming. He's the man that wakes my ass up at 2 o'clock in the morning and says, "Hey, Dad, man, you want to stream?" I say, "Sure. Don't you twist my arm. I've got it." He's the Mr. Down Under of all Down Unders, the Mr. Entertainer man himself. It's the one, the only, the great Hungry Boy. Hey, Hungry.
Hello. So glad to be here for this.
I know. It's very exciting.
You don't need me for it, but I'm glad to be here for this. Thank you.
I could not think of anybody else to have on this stream. I mean, without you, it'd be incomplete. And was that a dramatic introduction for you?
It was dramatic, but beautiful, just like some things we're going to talk about tonight. No spoilers.
I got to hold back.
You got to hold back.
Because I saw the intro of the other night, and the first thing I had to do was to DM you like, oh my God, this intro.
Yeah.
Well, you saw the first intro, the first episode. God, I can't do that. Where's Squeaka? Where's JT? Might be the guy that could actually roll the stars. But who's
Squeaka would go.
There you go. You can do it. There you go. There you go. You did it for me, there, my friend. But hey, we already got 10 people here watching us now. Hungry.
All right.
How are you doing tonight?
Mrs. Hello.
How are you doing, Hungry? And everybody in chat, stay with us. There's big stuff coming, and I will get all of y'all in just a second. I'm going to bring our panelists on. How are you, though, Hungry?
Oh, well, flesh is weak, spirit is willing, but that's the way I perform best for you, so no problems.
All righty. Well, we'll get ready, folks. We're going 24 hours on this solo talk stream. But anyway, just kidding. All right. Well, let me go ahead and bring in a couple of our other panelists here tonight. Shall we do that, sir?
Please do. I can't wait to hear their dulcet tones. And I don't exaggerate that. You know I love their voices.
No, I know. And these are two beautiful voices.
They are.
Anywhere on streaming, YouTube, Twitch, you name it. These people deserve their own channels. They have such good voices. I sound horrible compared to them.
Hey!
What?
No, you don't.
Well, you know I'm definitely south on Mason-Dixon line. That's okay, but yeah.
And I love that.
Right. If only all the other ladies before Mrs. Dadman did, but hey, at least I got her. She's a Southern belle herself. You want a Southern belle? It's this lady right here, you know. Cannot do anything without her. So,
hello, Mrs. Hello.
So, all right, now that I've embarrassed her, let's bring on another very important lady to this channel. This lady has become a great friend, a great advisor, a great co-host in her own right, doing the monthly movie show reviews that we do on the last Wednesdays of the month. She's the kitty cat of all kitty cats, you know, just amazing, beautiful voice, wonderful human being. It's always an honor and pleasure to be with her, to talk movies and stuff, and her knowledge is amazing. She's actually amazed me with some of the stuff she's come up in conversations about what we're going to talk about tonight. It's the one, the only, the great herself, Daisy Blossom. Hello, Daisy.
Meow.
Meow.
Hello, everyone. Well, you call me a kitty cat.
Exactly. We do. We meow around here. But how are you tonight, Daisy?
I'm fine, thank you very much, and thank you for inviting me this evening.
Absolutely.
And we have two of the 3 question marks answered.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do. We will do that. Has your day been well?
It has been fine, thank you. How about yourself?
Not bad. I got out of work a little bit early. Came home, watched. There was a channel that did a member stream, and they watched that new South Park that like shot off at Disney and stuff, and watched that in the members chat. Had a bunch of laughs with that, and then I went to dinner early with Ang and the missus. So definitely had a fun afternoon. So.
Very nice.
And anytime you get out of work early, it's great.
Good.
So now, like Lemon Pie says, behind door number 2, Daisy Blossom. Now, hey, now door number 3. Door number 3.
Drum roll, please. Drum roll, please.
It's the captain himself, JT Kirk.
Damn it, Mark.
Damn it, Mark.
I am doing fantastic. Thanks, Dadman. And hail, good evening to Daisy Blossom and Hungry Boy.
Yes. And
great to see you both.
How are you doing, JT? Yeah. Things are better going up there for you?
Oh, yeah. Today was the last day of beautiful weather, 70 degrees in our imperial system of measurement.
Exactly.
And hello, by Halloween, it will be barely above freezing. So today was the last day. Took the day off of work and got a lot of yard stuff done, which, you know, is as the kids say, adulting.
Yeah, adulting.
It's good to close off projects that you kind of looked at for
exactly. I get tired of adulting all the time, and I just pointed out Penny only because it sounds like she's going to be a little bit in and out. Thank you for the drop by, Penny. Good to see you. Yeah, I think a lot of people Friday night, you're either slow or busy sometimes, and that's how life is. So, exactly. So. And it's good to hear about getting those projects done because, you know, whether you do it at work or if they're house projects, it's always good getting that feeling of accomplishment. And, you know,
exactly.
You mark one off and you move to the next one.
Clears the brain out for a little while.
Yeah, there you go. We need a lot of clearance and stuff out of that. So let's go ahead and let's talk to the chat real quick. We've had like 14 people here at one point. Make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit, make sure you still subscribe because we've had an issue with, who knows what happens? YouTube does different things, taking the subs away and different things. So, hey, make sure you're still sub. Make sure you're still getting the notifications and stuff. Oh, Mrs. Whoa. She changed that. I wonder if that's the one she done for. No, that's mine. Wow. She changed the color on me. So, anyway, that kind of threw me out of whack there. Seeing a nice look. You know me? I'm an accountant. I like it the same way every time. But, all consistency. But hey, make sure you follow us on the Twitch side and like and definitely subscribe on this channel. We're getting close to 500. We'll be there soon. But tonight is about a special stream announcement. We are coming together with something here. If you saw the chat, if you saw the tweet that I sent out, I pitched towards a blast from the past, but maybe an eye to the future.
Yeah,
so
great phrasing.
So, folks, when I came in earlier, I'm saying one of the biggest raps I have that kind of is a mission is that I love my Fortnite, I love my football, and they are my passions, especially football. But I don't like labels. The more I get labeled, the more I fight it, because you know what, I have tried to do things, and I want to do things for a bit of everybody, and because it brings me personal enjoyment. I like different things. I like learning. I like learning from people that are different also, and doing things that are outside of my comfort zone and stuff. And so that's what I'm trying to do. And what we're coming tonight is we're going to announce something the four of us are going to be part of coming forward. But I want to tease it a little bit further for people that are out there. I forgot. I'm starting to tease it. And I forgot to talk to the chat. So let me talk to the chat real quick. I thank you guys. See, I'm squirreling a little bit too much.
Herding cats.
Exactly.
And if I may.
Yeah, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Okay, well, we got the great Snortapoopas here. He's here. We got the great Masters Maniac Mexico 3M. I think
Yay.
we called him another night. And hey, the great Mrs. is here. As always, Buddy Hepburn, hello back to you, buddy, and Sammy. Sammy, allow me a point of personal privilege. Yes, I am. I think the Gators might actually have a chance if they can survive early. Sammy, definitely call me, buddy, and we'll raise some hell about that game tomorrow. And I tell you what, I'll take you out to friggin' dinner whenever if the Gators pull that game off. Man, I'll tell you what, you'll hear me in Australia tomorrow if the Gators win that game. And here's OC Dobbins, holla! Yeah, we hollered. So, hey, and there's the great Daisy also out there. JT Kirk's here. Lemon Pie's here. Good to see you. Very much so, sir. Let's go through here. Sniper the Duck, good to see you. Yo! And Masters the Drama and his best. Well, the drama never ends here. You never know when it pops up. A simple introduction can be kind of dramatic. So, 100 years of Disney. Oh, yeah. Yeah, actually, it is for them. But hey, Yemi, good evening, my friend. Yes, who knows all things accounting. Too quiet. We're trying to make him corrupted. But anyway, so, yeah, 2,000 years of Faki celebration. Exactly, Masters. Exactly. And Comic Relief Crusader. Yes, the party is started. Exactly. Y'all sit back. Enjoy being here.
My comic book friend.
Said hello to Penny again, and door number 3. You got the word lovely, JT.
I know. Yeah.
Is that?
I'll take it, I guess.
Well, it's like one time a streamer came by and they said on their stream the next day when they were talking about the two of us, and they was like, this cutest couple, they're cute AF, and then and the missus said, nobody's ever called me cute before. So looking down through the chat, I think that I don't think I missed anybody with that. We got everybody here. So all right.
If I may,
sir.
real
yes,
quick,
sir.
MMM says he is in the region of Acapulco, and they I don't know if people are aware, but Hurricane Otis rolled through there recently, and it's a Cat 5, which is the highest.
No.
So just prayers for MMM and
hands
the folks
clapped
in that area. So
hands together for you, man.
Definitely.
Has it gone through? Or has it gone through, or is it about to go through?
It's gone through, and there's pictures on the internet. It does not look good. So I know the Florida folks down there, you're well aware of hurricanes. And so you know what you hear Cat 5, that's serious.
Yeah, definitely not good. Cat 3s can be bad enough. Cat 4s are problematic. Yeah. So, but yeah, exactly. The 5s are bad. But we've got him here tonight. So even if it, hope you're doing well down there, Masters. And yeah, and he loves the Australian guests, as he always reminds how Coconut and Harvey Bay almost killed me. This is a chance for a legendary ending.
That's an in-joke because Harvey Bay is actually one of the most beautiful places in the world, and he knows that. So it's like, it's oh man. But thank you for that, MMM. Thank you.
Well, let's get to this. As I was about to preemptively go into new areas, science fiction. We kind of hit on it in another panel on a single episode recently about a Battlestar Galactica stream. Let me ask you each. I'll start with you, Hungry, and then we'll work our way around. What is science fiction to you, and why do you like it? And maybe a couple of the shows that you think make true sci-fi, or that you really enjoy in the sci-fi genre.
That's as Daisy knows and JT knows, and basically everyone in the chat knows because I talk to all of you. That's a very big question, but it is a noble question and an important question. So the first thing, and we talked about this on the BSG stream, right? That and we talk about it with Star Wars as well, that you have science fiction, which is the umbrella category, and now it's being called speculative fiction, which I hate. I hate that term.
Right.
You know, because for me, yeah, Daisy, do you say no, Daisy? Do you say no to speculative fiction?
No.
Thank you. Thank you. Because, like, for me, speculative is what people do on stock markets.
I was just going to say that. Speculative fiction is this like Wolf of Wall Street or something? Come on.
Yes.
You guys get it. You guys get it. So the thing with science fiction, and it is my first genre love, which led me into like monsters and horror stuff as secondary and tertiary genre loves. The thing is that it requires imagination, and it actually it demands of you as an audience member or a reader or a listener, back to the old great science fiction radio shows of the 50s, it demands that you actually play along more than a simple melodrama or a rom-com. There's always a little bit of, in real science fiction, and I don't denigrate science fantasy. It's equal to me. It's equal to me, okay? So we have great science fantasy shows. But with science fiction, especially with things like the radio play by Orson Welles, War of the Worlds, 1938, you are needing to figure out the mystery as it unfolds. But it's not just a guy who ended up murdering someone and Poirot or Kojak needs to figure out who the murderer is. There's a whole concept about how existence works in science fiction, and you're figuring that out, like in Forbidden Planet, which is one of the greatest science fiction films of all time, or It Came from Outer Space, which is a cheesy title, but actually a very deep movie and based on Ray Bradbury. And you read this stuff, and it excites portions of your brain that other genres do not. And it allows you to also say, once that part of your brain is engaged, it means that you can appreciate the nuances in various characters that you see or hear or read in comic books.
Okay.
You can engage with both male and female characters more because of the way the plot and the themes are unfolding. So it's not a single layer cake, it's a triple layer cake. It's actually like a Bavarian chocolate cake, which is the most delicious cake ever invented. And
okay.
And so it's like a 3 cheese enchilada versus, just cheese.
Yeah.
And sci-fi always, I hate to sound like a sci-fi prig, but it always adds a bit more for someone willing to embrace it as a genre than something as simple but beautiful, and beautiful as another show I love, Moonlighting, right?
Right.
But sci-fi's got a lot more going on for it. It is the prom dress versus the little black cocktail dress. You know what I mean, Daisy?
Yeah, and let me say hello to Mr. Niblick tonight.
Hello,
Welcome
Mr.
in.
Niblick.
Yeah,
Great
exactly.
name.
So, so Daisy, what about you with this question? What about how do you look at science fiction? What is it? What makes it special to you? And any specific shows that really stuck out to you that you loved?
Wow, and I have to follow Hungary.
Sorry, babe.
I'm glad it was you and not me.
My brain's about to explode with my simpleton answer is just not gonna work.
You're not a simpleton. No.
Thank you. No, my answer, not me specifically. Okay, so I was raised a science fiction fan. My father was very much into science fiction, and I really enjoy science itself. So our first love would be Star Trek, which I actually watched as it was being broadcast weekly. And anything that I didn't understand, my father would explain, because there was a lot of deep things going on in that TV show and a bit heady for a child. So, and then I moved on to other things. As it stands now, my husband and I joke that we'll go watch it if it's sci-fi, even if it's bad sci-fi. You can sit there and make fun of it. I will give you tachyon fields, and I will give you phasers that you can see, or pew pew that you can see in the vacuum of space. If it's an entertaining story, as long as you don't warp the science part too far into the fiction, it's a fine line between how much fiction you put into sci-fi. And I would agree that sci-fi is the overarching label, because there is fantasy sci-fi, there's space operas, there's strict sci-fi-esque, what you think of as the ships and the aliens and that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of subgenres of it.
Oh, yes. Excellent point, including sci-fi horror, which we will never talk about on this channel, but that's okay.
No, don't do horror.
Well, did you, other than outside of Star Trek, were there any of the others?
Well, yes, I'm sorry. Yeah. Star Trek, Star Wars, Doctor Who, which is a different kind of sci-fi. Let me think. I'm trying to rack my brain. I like a lot of different sci-fi, not just series where there's, say, a whole TV series with 22 episodes, or just single movies. One-off sci-fi is very interesting as well. I'm sorry, I can't think of anything else right now.
Now, what do we constitute bad sci-fi since
Dune.
that came out?
Dune. I'm sorry.
No.
No, that's not bad sci-fi.
No, Dune was good.
Bad timing. Dune is really good.
Sorry. Sorry, I pushed the button. Sorry about that.
But Daisy, no, I have to ask if you're going to say that. Are you talking about the David Lynch atrocity or the modern versions?
The book. And
no, the book is great. Yes.
Yes, the book series. I liked the most recent movie to a point. It was difficult, where it just nearly felt like it dead stopped, rather than picking maybe a little more convenient location. I'm not sure. Because you have to wait so long between movies. Like when they were putting out Star Wars movies, we had to wait 3 years, which I'm not sure modern audiences can handle.
No, it drove me crazy as a kid. I didn't like it.
Yeah, it was very difficult.
I mean, we didn't even get word that Empire was being made until it was already halfway made, and that was in trade magazines and things like Famous Monsters and Starlog, and we didn't have the internet back then to give us a hint.
No. Well, and he wasn't sure he was going to get any other movies, so the first, which was just called Star Wars, but now referred to as Episode 4, can be watched as a standalone. So,
right. And okay, JT Kirk, same question to you. How do you see sci-fi? What do you view sci-fi as, and what stood out to you as good sci-fi? Maybe even some examples of bad sci-fi.
Sure. So sci-fi to me is a genre that incorporates other genres into it, but the central focus of science fiction is to ponder a question or questions and build the theme and the story around that topic in a way that makes you think. Now, whether that is strictly a scientific dilemma, it rarely stops there, right? There's usually philosophy, religion, some other moral or ethic that is questioned at the central component of that. And so by its nature, science fiction needs to address something in a thoughtful way. it's something that your brain is required for, and if it's not, it is not science fiction. Now, I would say science fiction borrows into the other areas of mystery, of horror, of action. And you could probably find some other things in there, maybe comedy in moments, right? But rarely do you find something that is just called pure science fiction. I think when one starts questioning different things, whether it be some type of Twilight Zone issue, a lot of times it goes into horror, because the horror of the question and what happens in the episode or the story typically frightens you if you're really thinking about it. And that type of fear or anxiety or mystery oftentimes gets you to think, is the impetus for the thought in an emotional way that springs thought into, I guess, the higher parts of the brain.
Beautifully put. And impetus is a very important word when it comes to science fiction, but also science fantasy. But I really respect you for using that particular word, because it is integral to science fiction. Thank you. I didn't mean to interrupt your train of thought. I just had to give you a compliment right there.
By all means. So, and I may be a little bit more or less tolerant on the definition of science fiction.
Give me 1 second. Give me 1 second. We're going to do the Snortopoopus. If you're staying around, let me go ahead and make the reveal right now. I don't want to. If you don't mind, Snortopoopus.
Yeah.
Let's go ahead and make the reveal before Snortopoopus pass out, and then we'll continue with that. Okay, JT, is that okay? Mm-hmm. All right, folks. The reason why these three great humans have been assembled with me is because of, we touched on sci-fi now. I said we're going to do something to shatter the dead man image with this channel. So, folks, beginning next Friday night at 9 p.m., we are going to step back into the past to look to the future. And it's the great Buck Rogers in the 25th century. We're going to be doing an episodic reveal episode each week, taking a look, usually at 2 episodes, but our first week will be, since it's a 2-part episode, we'll be looking at Awakening, episodes 1.1 and 1.2. So that's the big reveal, folks. We're stepping out into the sci-fi with these great panelists here to help me, and we're going to take on this series. And guys, let's see, JT, you go ahead and finish your thought and talk about what you think about this show, about this series.
Oh, about what I think science fiction means, or
finish what you were saying, and then talk about this show, what we're going to talk about.
Alrighty, so just to cap off the earlier topic here, I grew up with Star Trek by and large, and Isaac Asimov reading the books. So that's what I think of science fiction at its core. Now, I'd be more or less strict on the definition of science fiction than others. I think Raquel Briggs probably has a stricter view, but Dadman, I may be more strict than you, or Daisy. I do not consider Star Wars science fiction. I consider it science fantasy. I also love other science fiction that I would consider the Twilight Zone to be science fiction. And I love the Twilight Zone. I watched that more as an adult, but it totally 100% I'm behind that. I also love Battlestar Galactica. I call it science fiction / action. And at points I would give it a science fiction thing, but overall I do not wholly consider it science fiction. And then I also loved Earth 2. I would consider Earth 2 science
I
fiction.
remember that show.
Yes. So, and then I also enjoy shows like The 100 that have like a space-based fantasy area with some science fiction notes sprinkled on top, like I don't know, not confetti, like sprinkles on a cupcake, right?
Yeah, good seasonings. Yeah.
Yes.
I exactly. I am perfectly willing to enjoy things that I would not consider hard science fiction.
Well, there you go.
But,
at least you got an open mind, and go with it. I think story says a lot with all of these. And Snortopoopus, waddle off, and hey, wave a paw, and hey, thanks for being here long enough to see what we do with this series. So what we'll do each week is we'll start talking about, each Friday night at 9:00, we'll look at the episodes. Next week, we'll do the first two-parter, which was a theatrical release before, and then they broke it into 2 episodes for television. And it's just very interesting to see. There are some changes between the theatrical and what was on TV, but I got to see this in the chats. Maybe Buck Rogers.
Yeah, so, bitty.
Masters loves everything about it. So, and Buddy Hepburn, the dance club opening for Buck Rogers movie version of the pilot. Yes.
And Mr. Niblick, B5. Yes, B5 is sci-fi in my book. Yep.
Exactly.
Ditto.
Exactly.
It's almost it almost created, JT, you'll appreciate this term, a new subgenre, which is mythological sci-fi.
Yes.
Where, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean, when you look at the spiders, otherwise known as the shadows, and you look at the Vorlons, etc., there is so much mythological basis to Bab 5, but you would have episodes that absolutely are staying true to just science fiction at some points. And then you have the occasional murder mystery. The rare murder mystery episode of Bab 5. I was just addicted to it. I was totally addicted to it.
Now, here's one for me that the question mark is still out on. And that would be, well, I would say that it's not, but I love it to death anyway, is Stargate SG-1.
Yeah.
I know
you already the movie. I really loved the movie.
Yeah.
I didn't. The TV series was but I loved the movie.
Yes. All right. So now that we've revealed our show that we're going to be looking at for weeks, what are your thoughts on this? Initially, specifically, I have my initial thoughts when I remember vague images from when I was a kid, and now watching it again now, different things that come through and hit me. It's funny how the things that as a kid that you just didn't catch, that you catch now as an adult, how television was so much different then. You had so much. You do not realize the innuendo. You do not realize what happened between adults as a kid, but they didn't need to show it and all. You know what happened, all this other stuff, but it wasn't an oversaturation of sight and sound and everything else. It's just there, and to now. That's one of the biggest things that I have from when I watched it as a kid to now, realizing what I didn't get, back then. And, but it still had an innocence to it, made for a good plot, still dealt with some thematic serious themes and stuff. And yet it didn't, it was still an adult show. Like when Buck says ballsy in this episode, and now we're not talking about this episode tonight specifically, but I mean, just some examples of things that I saw. And I remember, there was stuff, and then you had, strong female. Okay, Hungry, this is your chance to be the Hungry Boy is released tonight. You can babble and go off all you want to about Wilma Deering from now on. Okay, let the beast roll, Hungry Boy.
Okay, I'll do that. But to back up what you're saying and be classy for a moment before I slide into the sewer. Okay, just as a joke. The thing is that if you actually look, and we'll talk about this later because we're talking general Buck Rogers, not specific episodes tonight. The thing is that with the show, it did actually take a lot, and I'll talk about this in depth later, but just for now, it took a lot from the original comic book strip, which then became a cartoon, which then became a TV show, and a lot of people don't realize that. So you had sultry sexiness versus just modern day sluttiness. You had unmitigated machismo, often pronounced machismo, and male charm. You had gung-ho action and adventure first, sad crap last. And that was all included from the original material in the newspaper strips, which goes back to 1929, by the way. I'll talk about that later too. And in 1979, it was this weird balance, and this was being produced in 78. So you had this weird balance of, we want to actually show respect from the original comic book and comic strip material, but we have to make it acceptable to a 1979 television audience. And I think they did it admirably, most admirably. And I have many things to say about that later. But there are very significant sexy moments, but to use a word that the missus likes, there were never any vulgar moments. Mm-hmm. And the missus knows what I mean, because she does not like vulgar either.
And yes, exactly. I mean, let me say hello to Joseph Dredd. Welcome in, Joseph Dredd. Hey.
Hello.
Hey, Joe.
Yes,
hey, Joe.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. So yeah, no, you're right. It's a taste. It's a that's we talked about that. I think in our horror streams, that sometimes less is more. Leave it to the viewer's imagination to fill in the plots and not hit them with all the details.
Well, I mean, it goes to something that you and I have talked about, and the missus and I have talked about. I don't know if we did it publicly or privately. And I think Daisy's going to know exactly what I'm talking about, and I know JT knows exactly what I'm talking about, where you can have someone who is fully clothed, and I mean, the only skin you're seeing is their hands and their neck, right? But they can do a toss of the hair and a little flick of the eyes that makes something way more sexier than any nudity or anything R-rated.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's the suggestion piece of
it.
Mm.
And your mind, each individual is going to interpret those actions however they interpret them. Like Dadman was saying but Dadman was saying as a child, he would he'd have just flown past that. Oh yeah, okay, she's got long hair and she flipped it back and she batted her eyelashes. Mm-hmm. As you get older, you look at it quite differently as your own background. I'm trying hungry.
I'm laughing with you. I'm laughing with you. No, I'm saying PG-13. I'm just saying that sometimes, growing up is hard. That's all I'm saying.
Well, yeah, and you look at it different when you're a teenager. Your brain has gone round off the corner, round the bend, and off a cliff. And then as you get older, your brain starts to kick into a serious maybe and go, okay, I can imagine things that aren't quite off the range.
Exactly. It's just really interesting, the things that I saw. My recollections back then to what the way television was and towards it now. Same thing about Battlestar Galactica, Emergency, all the TV shows that I grew up with. They conveyed very serious messages, and they dealt with topics and stuff and heavy issues at the time without. It just seemed like it was a lot less heavy-handed back then. Oh, and that's what allowed. And what I love with the Buck Rogers in the general sense too is that it was. This is where I differ from you guys that have a definition of sci-fi. I am the more sci opera, sci fantasy guy because I like my pew pew blow ups and bangs. It's one of the reasons why I've always struggled in Star Trek, because when there's more shooting, it's usually those are my favorite episodes. Buck Rogers is something that seems like it did the balance with all of it together, because it did have lots of shooting, lots of bang bangs and stuff, but yet it still kept a lot of what was true sci-fi. As I hear you, like the three of y'all talking about, it really does encompass the sci-fi genre, whereas something like Star Wars doesn't. It goes off in a little bit of a different direction. But that's to me. What are your thoughts?
I would like to agree with you for a moment and commend you on that previous statement, because I do not denigrate science fantasy at all. But one thing that science fiction and science fantasy has in common, to back you up, Dadman, is that you have these quiet moments of humanity between people, which allow us to grasp the enormity of the situation at hand more readily. So, you can have in Buck Rogers, you can have these moments between Buck and, even if Wilma's not in the room, okay, you can have Buck. Sorry.
Yes, I know that was a good. You're allowed to joke like that. That's funny. That was great. That was a great joke.
But you have Buck and Dr. Hewer and Dr. Theopolis, the AI, shall we say AI, entity in Buck Rogers, and I think that's real science fiction versus science fantasy. Having Dr. Theopolis as a cybernetic entity, but has senses of humor that it has learned, or he has learned, and interacting and making fun of Dr. Hewer on occasions, and occasionally taking Buck to task. That is classic science fiction, but it also is included in science fantasy. But the emotional content is there without like modern crap. I apologize for that. Modern crap being emotionalist, because passion and emotionalism are not the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
So I just love what you said about that, and I wanted to back you up. And there are situations where, particularly in Buck Rogers, you can get into science fantasy elements, but there are significantly sci-fi elements in a lot, not all, but a lot of the Buck Rogers episodes.
Well, that's a good thing. JT or Daisy, I don't know what your thoughts are on that, but it's
I want to hear them.
Yeah.
I plead the fifth. I've been back and forth in the chat here. Apparently, there's I don't want to squirrel us off too far.
No, it's good.
Apparently, Baywatch Nights is a 2-season series that's listed as science fiction when you goggle it.
Are you kidding me right now?
What?
Goggle Baywatch Nights, and it says 1995 sci-fi. And so I'm like, no, Mr. Loom, like there is no way.
Well, hey,
the off in sci-fi, it returns that way. I'm like, oh my goodness,
gosh, well that's crazy.
Tears in my eyes.
I don't know on what planet that.
Well, listen, see, that I could go anything sci-fi at that point.
Yeah, right. Yes.
But but see, what's one thing is to me is where I don't necessarily fight the labels like some people might with like what's sci-fi, what's not. Daisy, I know you're big with defining sci-fi, but this is to me something like this gives me the biggest balance. Whereas some of y'all might look at this as a sci-fi, I just look at it as good television or something fantasy to escape with. Daisy, are you very hardcore on the keeping the sci-fi true sci-fi, or are you willing to blur the lines and accept things that may not be true sci-fi?
Well, I guess I'm not quite as militant about what is sci-fi, since my having grown up around sci-fi, it would have been a smattering of a bunch of different things that had the heading sci-fi. Some of that might have actually been more science fantasy. Some of it might have been more science horror, which I don't do. I don't do horror in any genre. As long as there's, to me, the part that's important is the science. So if you're going to present something that at least adheres to science, you can have a few things that are like science fantasy things. Shields on ships that you can see through. I mean, we can't achieve that now. We might in the future. So I really like the science part of it. And then, so my definition is, I mean, Baywatch is a sci-fi. I don't care if they got into a spaceship and got blown into another multiverse. That is not science to me.
Yes, exactly.
That's a bunch of scantily clad ladies running around, and that's a whole different genre. I'm sorry.
Daisy, the Hoff is not the Shat, right? Nope. You know what I mean?
No,
the Hoff is not the Shat.
Well, let's see this. Let's see. Oh my gosh. Well, let's see a couple of comments about.
That's great.
We'll try to keep them on Buck Rogers here tonight. Some of the things. This is an assessment that I've heard is that season 1 is better than season 2. We will see that as the weeks go along.
Probably.
We will see that as we go along. But Masters actually said it's a very good idea to review it, as hardly no one does it due to its failure on TV. Well, at the time it was pretty successful. Unfortunately, it did not carry. But I will say, it's probably a show that was before its time. Because I know older people, my grandparents had trouble with this stuff. You know, they did go see Star Wars, but a lot of it was a gimmick. It was new. Oh, aliens and stuff. They did because there was excitement with me. But I think generationally, a show like this, a show like Battlestar Galactica, I mean, even Trek, I don't know how the original Star Trek did not last that long on television, did it?
In reruns, it did.
No, but I'm saying as a live show, they did not. Okay. But basically, like when Stars came out, there was not a lot of like older people I knew didn't like fantasy. You know how people get militant about the sci-fi? A lot of the older people that I was around were like, I don't watch that crap. It was futuristic. It was beyond what they could conceive, and they just did not appreciate it. They didn't want to watch it, you know, that type of thing. At least for people, my experience that I was around. So there are reasons why these shows like a Battlestar Galactica or like this one did not last longer than it did on television, because it was not I think for more of a general audience, it was just not enough of a draw for older generations. And there were older people. There were a lot more of them. See, now the people now 50 years later, they're gone. And there's people like me that were in that time. We're more open to sci-fi and these other things. But now I think we're in a culture where between the writing, inserting real life and a bunch of other stuff to the point where it overtakes the science, the fiction, and the good plot lines. Imagine this show coming out nowadays written as it was with modern technology. Would it have had a chance to be a lot longer? Now, we always know that they do pigeonhole and defeat some shows. I think Firefly is one that everybody says should have gotten more seasons and stuff, but it only got the one season, you know. But imagine this show that had a general pull, had all this action, you know, written in a different time where there could have been more acceptability for this genre, you know. But I don't know.
Well, the modern version of that is The Expanse. I mean, that got canceled a couple times, and it was more sci-fi in the beginning.
It was.
And it turned into something else.
Yeah, and Daisy, what were you going to say?
Oh, I'm sorry.
What were you going to say, Daisy?
Are you done, JT?
Yes. Go ahead.
Oh, okay. Yep. The other thing I was going to say about this, because it would have been filmed or started in 78 and then put out on TV in 79, is the people that would have been into Star Wars, our generation, and then even some of the generation before, because my father was very much into sci-fi. The difference between watching the huge innovations in the technology and the filming and the model work and everything to produce Star Wars as a movie, as opposed to watching the special effects that can be afforded in a weekly TV show, probably also played into it. Not just a generational thing, but this is not quite up to snuff as far as some of the people in 1979 might have thought for a TV show.
Well, that's a good point. But also going back to something Dadman said, just to track back to that, when you're looking at night, because, you know, some of us, as we all admit, we're kind of old here, right?
No, Daisy's the young one. Daisy's the young one.
Okay, all right. Daisy's the young one, and then JT.
I'm the oldest.
And also, you have an actual real science fiction avatar I need to add before I make my point. It's a kitty with cybernetic accoutrement that is actually very sci-fi, even though it's cute. So I like it. And one of the things is that in 79, a lot of people didn't even have videotape players back in 79. You know, you had to be a pretty affluent household to have a VCR player in 79. You were reliant on television, and a lot of the people who made a lot of the ratings for television were older people who had grown up with 30s, 40s, 1950s stuff, and they were stuck at home because they were retired and they were sick and they were old. And so their ratings actually very much mattered. So if they're looking at something like Buck Rogers in 79 and saying, oh, what is this newfangled nonsense? I have no interest in this. Where's my Matlock? Give me Matlock.
Or Westerns.
Yes.
Or Westerns,
Have Westerns. Gun will travel. Have gun will travel.
Bonanza, Gunsmoke. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of people who, they just, as Dadman was talking about, they just want to be entertained on their cultural level, not intellectual level, their cultural level. And they may never have had any interest in whether or not we can go to Mars, whether or not we can actually start a colony on the moon. Their interest is in, am I going to get my grocery deliveries on time this week? And am I going to be robbed in my household while I'm a pensioner sitting in a chair and need a cane to get to the door? And so I don't like it, but I understand it and I can empathize with it. You know what I mean? So that could affect the ratings, and that could have been part of why Buck did not get season 3. I mean, also it was a very expensive show to produce by television standards. And there are a lot of aspects about it that were more expensive than TV was willing to tolerate, including some of my favorite episodes where they might repeat certain, and this happened in Battlestar Galactica too, certain science fiction, special effects shots, and they would repeat those, but they were very expensive at the time to make, and they looked beautiful. But you have to also remember, and this goes back to our previous stream, the same showrunner for this show as Battlestar Galactica, it was Glenn A. Larson. The same guy made this show. So if pressure comes down from people saying, well, it's not as expensive to do Magnum PI and we can get a lot of sexy women in that show too, then you kind of understand where the studios are coming from. I'm not apologizing for them, but I'm just saying I may not agree, but I understand.
Yeah. One thing that's interesting, we had assembled this panel a while back before we decided. We had kicked the tires on a couple of decisions between this one and actually Space 1999. Part of the thought was we were looking to do something different. We were looking, but I eventually one day I'd like to kick the tires on that too. But we or even do more with the original Battlestar Galactica. But it was interesting how we came about this and how we came to this decision, because one of the interesting things that we have, folks, with this panel is a diverse background of people and ages, not just age. See, I grew up with seeing some of this, but I did not know the technical stuff like Daisy and Hungry have. They have different expectations coming from the science fiction. Daisy, I remember you tell me,
JT, where'd you go?
He'll be back.
We lost JT.
Oh, no. We lost the captain. We lost the captain.
Oh, no.
Oh gosh.
Also, just to be fair to both genders, we lost the sexiest voice on the panel, and that's not good. Although I love your voice too, Daisy, but you're married, so I can't say that. But
yes, I am.
But JT's voice is very sexy too.
You can always
Daisy.
You can always compliment the lady, because we're doing it in a public situation. I always compliment the ladies; they get the compliments before the guys. But hey, that's just me being dad man. So, but JT gets back, because there's a point I wanted to make really, because I remember Dave, you talked about remembering the sci-fi from like the strings, right? Seeing the strings on
thank
ships
God
and stuff.
He's back.
Welcome back, Captain.
Yeah, sorry about that. Windows. Screen of death out of nowhere. So.
But Daisy, I remember you telling me about the strings and seeing the sci-fi with the strings pulling and stuff like that. And when
but not this show. That was yeah.
But you had that background. You had that background.
What was it, Daisy? What was it?
Wait. I'm trying to remember the show. Tell me what the show was again.
It was something with a spaceship, and you saw the strings, and they pull. You could.
It's not Buck Rogers. It's back in the 50s and 60s. It's
Flash Gordon.
Thank you, Flash Gordon.
Yes.
So I saw the original versions of Flash Gordon. Mm-hmm. There was a pizza parlor near our house, and on Saturdays they had for back then, state-of-the-art projection system that would project, and it would just run through the episodes of Flash Gordon, which my father remembered, of course. So we'd sit there and we'd have our pizza and as a family, and my grandmother would look at the two of us and go, "Oh, that's very sweet, you sweet young people." And my mom would go, "I have no clue what you guys are talking about. Look, we can see the wires." And I'm going, "That's true, you can, but it was pretty good for back then."
Yeah,
exactly. But I liked Ray Harryhausen too, which was stop motion.
Oh, and huge love,
a lot of people who watch that. Yeah, I won't go down the rabbit hole.
No, that's another stream we need to do a year from now. Yeah. But please go on.
Yes.
I was just going to say, in respect to what people, how they perceive, how they perceive something that's done on TV or a movie, or they look back. So it's hard for some of us older people to explain how amazing certain things were back in the day, because young people will have their own frame of reference, and 50 years from now, they're going to be saying, "Oh, you know, this was state of the art. This was this was that." And it might have been back. I don't know that, Minstrel. It might have been back in the 40s as well. I lost my train of thought, guys.
No, I'll back you up on something, though, just because of that moment. The thing is that, and this is, you're a teacher, so you understand this. The young people who are now used to smartphone photos, which they don't even realize have filters applied to them that you actually have to turn off if you want a naturalistic photo. They don't understand naturalistic visual art anymore because they've been trained to not even know it exists. And so when you talk about Harryhausen and you look at the original analog technology effects in Star Trek, which I prefer, and you look at the Space 1999 effects, which I prefer, and you look at shows like this in Buck Rogers where they did not have CGI, and I prefer it. Young people look at that and they don't have the cultural aesthetic frame of reference, but they are used to things being so sauced up. Like, you know, when the meat is bad, you add more spices and sauce in order to cover up the bad taste of meat. That's kind of what's going on today in visually in science fiction. And I just want to just say that as a backup to Daisy and understand.
And I'm glad I'm glad that she brought that up, and I'm glad you brought that up, because that's what I was trying to illustrate. Is I'm just I guess I'm just a guy. I'm just a banana that likes what he likes. You know, I don't know all the technical stuff. I've heard of Ray Harryhausen stuff, but I'm not sure. But you guys are my age or a little bit older. You've seen it, you know it, you know how to define it, you know. And that's why I'm trying to talk to everybody in the chat. Stay with us through these reviews, because it's going to be a beautiful thing, I think, with all of us, because we're coming from different backgrounds, different perspectives. See, we may be older, but all three of us have different levels of sci-fi expectations or knowledge or what we like or what we see, you know. Hungry, you're different. Daisy, you're different. Hungry, you're different. Both are a lot more knowledgeable about it than I am. I'm just going to be coming in as somebody that, hey, I like stuff to watch. And now we got JT Kirk, who's the youngest one of the group that had not seen the series before, and now is starting to watch it for the first time. So we're going to be able to present to y'all a different group of opinions from the old to the new, and I'm sure JT will be able to present a lot of things in a way that I know I would not have even thought about, because he's had different experiences. He's younger and things like that. You know, and I'm looking forward to that with this whole thing. So, and I think I forgot to say hi to Jess. Hey, Jess, good to see you there.
Hello, Jess.
Hello. Yes, and technology differences. That's an example within one series right there. By the way, yes. I'm going to take one squirrel moment for a second. Mrs. Dadman Walking's first stream is on YouTube and Twitch November 6th at 8 p.m. Eastern, and she's going to be building a Lego set with Doctor Who, and Hungry's going to be the Doctor Who guide that night. So make sure you make plans for that. So, but
do we have a link? We do. Okay, just put it in chat.
Only to help Mrs. Dadman out, because she asked me to do it.
Exactly.
And Daisy will respect this. I am a 1960s Doctor Who guy. Then the 70s, right? but my favorite Doctor is Patrick Troughton, hands down. And that's not only because of him as an actor, but also because of the style of stories, which were more science fiction than fantasy a lot of the time, which feeds into what we're talking about today. And so I am a massive Doctor Who fan, and I'm so happy that the missus is going to be engaging with that wonderful show. And I'm kind of hoping I can sneak her interest into watching some of the old episodes, the black and white episodes. But we'll see. We'll see.
You never know. All right. Well, hey, folks, thank you all for everybody being here. We got 13 people that says make sure you've hit the like button, subscribe, all that good fun stuff. Hey, but tonight is a night of celebration. We're going to go forward with us four hitting this great series for however long we take it. You know, there's it's got let me go through some of the background stats of this and now we've passed the hour mark. So Buck Rogers is and I'm coming from Wikipedia because I confirmed it with some other sources. It's like the best, you know, instead of me having to write a report like I do at work, you know, I figured I'd just get some notes here like this. But basically, you know, it's an American science fiction adventure television series produced by Universal Studios. It was a first made for TV movie. It was released theatrically in March 1979 as Buck Rogers in the 25th Century. It made $21 million at the box office, promoting Universal to move ahead with a weekly series later in the year. So then the series itself ran for 2 seasons from September 1979 to April 1981 on NBC. And the feature-length pilot episode for the series was released, like I said, as a theatrical film before the series aired. It was the film and the series were developed by Glenn A. Larson, as you mentioned, Hungry, and Leslie Stevens, based on the character Buck Rogers, created in 1928 by Philip Francis Nolan, that had previously been featured in comic strips, novellas, a serial film, and on television and radio. All right, so we're going to talk about a little bit about that as the night goes along. The series that we're talking about too is the first one, which will be the first episode we look at next week, is entitled Awakening. Is basically, you know, you're set in a future where, let's see, let me get back to my notes here. Let's see, right one here to the plot of the story that basically Buck Rogers was. He was in 1987. A NASA astronaut, Captain William Buck Rogers, is piloting the space shuttle Ranger 3, where he flies into an unexpected space phenomenon and is frozen for 504 years. In the year 2491, the shuttle is found drifting in space by the alien flagship Draconia, which is headed to Earth for a trade conference under the command of Princess Ardala and her aide-de-camp Kane, a former native of Earth. Rogers is revived from cryogenic sleep and questioned. And she's obviously visibly attracted to Buck, though Kane arranges for him to be put back on the shuttle and returned to Earth. So that's where it starts with it. But basically, we come into a series that starts he shoots off in 1987 in a space shuttle-looking flight ship. And we'll talk more about the details later. But then we get 500 years later. Here we have it as an astronaut situation. But as we talk, we go through a little bit more later as we have time. And if we go in those areas, he was not always necessarily a spaceman. In the early versions of Buck Rogers, he was something else, I think, you know. So, but we'll get to that. But for now, we'll start on the facts with the TV series. It's basically, like I said, there was with this series, it ran 2 seasons. I'm looking for my let's see. I'm looking for my list of episodes here with that.
Did you put your notes on the computer and not on a piece of paper?
Yes.
Oh, Daisy, I write all mine down with a biro.
Yes.
I write a ballpoint pen. She caught you. She caught you.
I've gotten lazy as I've gotten old. I've got too reliant on the typewriter, on the keyboard. But
okay, A for effort. Go ahead.
Yes, okay. Wow.
You got a smiley face in kindergarten, man.
All right. Oh, the teacher got me. The teacher got me like the time in English class.
She did, and she was She was typing when she caught you, so you were in big trouble.
That reminds me of the time in English class when I told the teacher in front of class, yeah, Cliff's Notes said this. Boy, the look I got was
God,
wonderful.
you did not.
Yes, I did, just for the fun of it.
We have kids that quote Wikipedia as their source.
Oh,
no. Okay. This is a teaching moment right here.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. Basically, there are 24 episodes in the first season that aired from September 20th, 1979 to March 27, 1980. The second season only lasted 13 episodes from January 15th of 1981 to April 16th of 1981. So that you see there's 37 episodes in total running from 1979 to 1981. It's a little bit the backstory with that, and then Glenn A. Larson, as you had mentioned earlier, Hungry was involved with this as he was with Battlestar Galactica. So very that's a little bit some of the backstories with the series. There are certain that are 2-part episodes. You're going to find at some point in a few weeks, we're going to kind of do a couple episodes a little out of order because we want to try to keep 2-parters together. Like next week will be part 1 and part 2 of that. So anytime there's 2-parters, we're going to try to keep them together. There'll be a week where we kind of technically break it up a little bit, but it's to keep 2 parts together so that there's, exactly, so it's some of the, like we talked about, Awakening, Planet of the Slave Girls. That's a good one.
Mm-hmm.
That was really good. And then there was the Jamie Lee Curtis episode.
I know you're ready for that one.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. I know you're ready for that one.
Oh, yeah. Jamie Lee. Bring it on.
A Plot to Kill a City. The Return of the Fighting 69th,
I liked that one.
Yes.
No, it's funny. I love Plot to Kill a City. That's a 2-parter. And that is actually something I will not directly, but I will in terms of like the comic book and comics strip, Buck Rogers developing into television. I'll be bringing that up later in the conversation in a general way. But that one was really special to me because it had a lot of significant comic book elements to it. But it was also very much ABC TV movie of the week in terms of the plot. Which didn't focus on the science fiction elements, going back to what we were talking about before that much, but it was, oh boy, it was a very tasty 2-parter, very tasty.
Exactly. Well, you're waiting for Unchained Woman. That's the one with Jamie. I wonder if it's because it got the word chain in it, but hey,
PG-13, PG-13.
Daisy, you're talking about the Return of the Fighting 69th. That one had Peter Graves in it. And actually, that was a nice episode. One. Yes. We also see there's also one, The Plot to Kill a City had Frank Gorshin.
Yes.
And
who played the Riddler in the Batman television series.
Exactly. I actually got to see him once live in real life. We have a dinner theater here in town, and he came here and did a stage play, and we sat up real close to him, and I actually got to see him live and in person. So that was really cool. And Marky Post, as Joseph Dredd said, Marky Post was here. Like a lot of the 70s shows, they had all these actors, actresses either making cameos or, different appearances in these shows, and it just seemed like it was one of those trademarks of the 70s type of 70s, early 80s type TV shows. They always, kind of like, almost like Batman 66, where they, you waited for the person to wink while they're going up the wall. And who's the guest cameo this week? But they actually had these in the actual. I believe Arnold's in one of these, isn't he? Later in the season. What you talking about, Willis? Gary Coleman.
Oh yes, he is.
Yeah, Gary Coleman's in one of these.
Season two.
Exactly. So this series is also marked for a lot of the people that did make cameos and other appearances in it stuff. With this, I'm trying to
Well,
yeah,
to back you up, that's
yeah.
also a Glenn A. Larson thing where, yes, he did a lot of things that a lot of people were upset about, but you have to understand Hollywood producer culture. And he was very loyal to people who did right by him, and he would bring them back onto other shows when they'd already done work for him beforehand. So I really respect that for Mr. Larson. I think it was wonderful that a lot of people who were on Battlestar Galactica were brought on both behind and in front of the camera for Buck Rogers, and I think that is noble, because you can be you can be a person who is ignoble in certain areas of life and then be noble in other areas of life. Not everything is black and white.
Yeah, no, and like this was saying, the people that were in this series amazed me. Let me of the main actors, because we talked about Gil Gerard, Aaron Gray, and Hungry Boy. You do PG-13 or all you want to when we talk about Aaron Gray. Wilma Deering. All I've heard you on all the shows is Wilma Deering. Friend, you get to Wilma Deering all you want in this. And I'd never seen Tim O'Connor before, but I remember the face. Pamela Hensley was Princess Ardala. But there's some other interesting names. Like we know Mel Blanc was the voice of Twiki.
Yes, and Mel Blanc is a god of animation. So the voice of Bugs Bunny, the voice of Foghorn Leghorn, a lot of character voices. I mean, most of the great voices in Warner Brothers cartoons are done by Mel Blanc, unless they're female voices, and then that was done by his equal, and also, I mean, at least an equal in terms of voiceovers, June Foray. Because I'm very big on the voiceover stuff. So having Mel do the voice of Twiki means that so people who grew up in the 40s would recognize his voice and say, okay, I like this, I might sign on to the show. But also when we're kids, all right, and we're seeing the Warner Brothers cartoons being reshown in reruns on television, we are learning the Mel Blanc voice, even if we don't know who he is. We just hear that voice and we think, yeah, I'm signing on. This is cool. I like it.
Yeah, I love that. DB. And then Buck's like, what's he saying? Dr. Theopolis, you don't want to know. You don't want to know. You don't want to know. He's like, yeah. But also another great canon was in this. The narrator, William Conrad.
Yeah, Conrad.
Powerful. I mean, that damn thing gave some... when he introduced Buck Rogers, the whole narrative at the beginning was just iconic, getting that voice and that thing. It really, really, really was powerful. And, one that I never knew until I saw this between IMDb and the other sources, Dennis Haysbert. Do you know the name? Do you recognize where Dennis Haysbert is from?
I do, but I want to hear you talk. 2
places. One, Major League, Jobu, and number 2, the Allstate commercials.
Yes,
Dennis Haysbert. I'm like, what the hell? He played apparently various characters in this. It's like wow, never knew that. So, oh my goodness. And Pop Culture Republic is here. Hey, sorry if I have not seen people pop in tonight. Apologies. It's kind of interesting tonight. We're bouncing around. I'm having to look to. Different thing so like this. So I'm going to talk about because I did miss some good stuff in the chat. Hold on, let me go back. A little bit. But hell to you, Pop Culture Republic. So yes, Marky Post, I'm going to talk about the guest that we're in it. Frank Gorshin is great in that one. So and
by the way, Frank Gorshin was known before he got on Batman. He was known as a master impressionist and impersonator.
Oh,
His
really?
impressions for people who were in the 60s and the 50s, magnificent. I mean, he could do stand up. He could just hold the room. He's magnificent. Yeah. He's fab.
Now, I like hearing these stories that Aaron Gray was the nicest celebrity that I've met at a con. That has to be nice. That has to be nice to actually meet somebody nice in real life, like that. That's awesome.
I'm quiet here, folks, because I don't know who any of these people really are.
JT, I only know some of them.
Yeah,
Oh, Dennis,
I don't know them all either.
Well, do you know?
I'll get to know them.
Well, if you say something, let me know. Did you know who Dennis Haysbert was?
No.
He played.
I know I'm killing people out here.
He
But
played a major
No,
league.
I didn't know either.
Yeah, he was the guy Serrato in Major League. He couldn't hit a curveball. He kept striking out. He had Jobu, and they got the whole fried chicken for him. And then of course there was the he was also the guy before Mayhem on the Allstate commercials. You know, so
that Mayhem guy.
Yeah, no, not before Mayhem.
That.
Before the guy that was like, that's the Allstate
African American. Yes, exactly.
Yeah,
that guy.
Okay.
It was the deep voice who said, "You're in good hands with Allstate." Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Okay.
That's him. And Aaron Gray is Wilma. Hey, Aaron Gray is who? Hungry Boy.
Aaron Gray is one of the greatest boons to Lycra that any industry has ever known. And she plays Wilma Deering and Buck Rogers, and she does it beautifully, especially if you look at the original Wilma Deering from 1929 going to at least 1965. And I don't know if she did it accidentally or on purpose. I don't know. She's never spoken about it, but she actually invoked the spirit of Wilma Deering, because the original Wilma Deering in the art in the comic book strips was sassy as
We're going to
hell.
get to that. We're going to get to that. Hold that thought. We're going to get to that.
Sorry, didn't mean to jump ahead.
No, you're good. Good point there. But let's make sure we come back to that. So, but I'm going to get down through the rest of the chat. Does anybody know if Betty White appeared in any sci-fi cameos? I can't think of her.
No, never did.
Okay.
She was in Lake Placid, which is technically a nature monster movie subgenre, and she was magnificent and the funniest person in that film. But aside from Lake Placid, she's never been in what we would call a genre film or TV show.
Yes, and we will get to Jack Palance. He was in some of these, and I'm going to go through a name of a bunch of them. I need to catch up the chat real quick. I guess pop culture is playing with a laser. There was playing with a laser pointer. Some catnip McCall's hits. Princess Ardella, hello. Hey, hell to you, sir. Master said that Grant Larson was able to bring together a lot of different people on a lot of different occasions. He brought me a lot of valuable remembrances of his childhood. Yeah, so. Oh, Buddy said Tina the Gold fan. Amiquad said booty instead of LOL. Yeah, so he was in the unit and president in 24 also. So, oh gosh. We're not hearing him. Binks. Let's see. Just going through here. Yeah, here it is. I asked Joe Boo to come take fear from bats. I offer him cigar and rum. Exactly. Who are these people? Whoopa Troopa. Whoopa. Good to see you.
Hey, Whoopa. Hello. Good to see you.
Exactly. So,
but to that, please no spoilers. For my sake, please.
No, I'm trying really hard, man. I'm trying really hard.
Spoilers. Oh, anyway. But hey,
what?
For what?
For what?
For what?
What am I not supposed to spoil?
Yeah.
The whole Buck Rogers series.
Oh, I won't.
We won't. We're not going to do that. We're
won't.
staying general tonight. Tonight. Yeah. So, but hey, we'll keep it by episode. But as I mentioned that, thank you for everybody that's in here. Good to see you, Whoopa. Guest stars on the series included Peter Graves, Lance Legault, some of these names I don't know, Jamie Lee Curtis, Marky Post, Dorothy Stratton, Lee McCloskey, Trisha Noble, Richard Mole was in that. I think I just saw something on the news about him. Richard Mole was in it. Jerry Orbach was in it. Gary Coleman, Jack Palance, Sam Jaffe, Sid Haig, Vera Miles, and Buster Crabbe, who played Buck Rogers in the original 1930s Buck Rogers film serial, by the way. And he played a Brigadier Gordon, so with a reference to his other famous role, Flash Gordon. Joseph Weissman also appeared in the episode Vegas in Space. So, hey, definitely things that came through here. Several actors who played villains in the 1960s Batman television series also guest starred, including Cesar Romero, the real Joker, yes, Frank Gorshin, the real Riddler, not some Jim Carrey hack, Roddy McDowell, and Julie Newmar. Wow.
Oh, Julie Newmar.
That's the best.
Julie, hey, for Daisy, Julie Newmar is meow.
Okay. So anyway,
she was one of the biggest Catwomen of all time, and I think Clobby likes Julie Newmar as Catwoman better than any person that ever played the role. And Clobby is Mr. Comic Books guy. So
exactly. So basically, we will see what happens. We'll go through these episodes as they go. Like I said, 2 a week is what our goal is. Try to do, and go from there. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, and we'll do it here, make sure we have time while Daisy's still with us. Music. We talked about it on the Battlestar Galactica series, and I guess probably on every, whether it's movie, whatever. I think we talked about it the other night on the Indiana Jones and Last Crusade. Also, just the importance of music. Most modern TV shows specifically seem like they drowned out the music. That there's very little involvement of music and sound with the action as the stories develop, as the stories go. I remember that, like we talked about the ice planet on Battlestar Galactica. Same thing happened in these first 2 episodes when I went back and watched them. Just it was like the music carried you. It was like watching. Sorry to equate it to Star Wars, but that type of thing where you had this music with the effects all helping, becoming a character and moving the action and becoming part of the whole experience, not just you're just listening to silence with maybe a sound effect or here too. What did y'all think with the music? Daisy, I'll start with you because you're our resident music expert. What do you?
No, I'm not an expert.
Oh yes, okay. But
I'm
anyway,
I'm very much into the music.
I know, but
what struck me when I rewatched the first, I was rewatching the first series, again, is how much of the music I could pick out from different genres. It's a TV show. So not only did it start with sort of what you'd call a pop disco-ish sort of song, but there were parts of it where the music beats were almost as if they were in the shows like Emergency or one of the pop dramas. There were different genres of music in it that I could pick out and remember from other shows back in the 70s. And that made the music very, very interesting. And that you would choose this, not just to stick with, say, an orchestra like Star Wars does. John Williams is amazing. I just love his music, and it's very memorable. But in this TV series, they picked different types of musical notes to go with whatever it is the scene is doing, which I found very interesting. It's not just one set of music.
Well, that kind of defines the 80s, and this is, of course, the early 80s. It is a transition from disco to the new wave. And I remember, and not to spoil things, but in that first 2-part episode, they had the formal dance or the formal celebration.
Oh, yes.
It was like they took a waltz. They took like a Mozart waltz and put it to like 79 disco funk. It was like really a weird thing. It was like that Rock Me Amadeus music video, but not having Rock Me Amadeus.
I love that. I'm sorry. I love that. And I love the musical piece that you and Daisy are referring to in our initial introduction to Buck Rogers. But please go on. But I love that music. I do.
Yeah. Well, let me say hi to Lisa. Came in real quick. Lisa came in and said hi. But no damn Bee Gees. No damn Bee Gees. They got freaking Mamma Mia. No, Mamma Mia. No. They got their movie. So
I am born in the same country as them. Unacceptable. Unacceptable. Unacceptable.
I like it.
Oh, we got Lisa and Cat with us tonight. We got 14 people watching.
Daisy,
folks, we have gotten 21 likes at least right now. Thank y'all for making this a wonderful night, and I hope you enjoy.
I apologize.
No, Daisy, you take over the show. I'll sit back and let you sing all night.
Daisy,
I'm not a Bee Gees fan, but I did like disco. I'm terribly sorry.
Yes. Some disco, okay, but all I'm going to say is that Saturday Night Fever would have been 100 times better without the Bee Gees involved. Yeah.
Although Mr. Niblick, though, were mullets, jogging sweats, and Jane Fonda exercise videos really the best time. They didn't look good, but I tell you what, it was a fun time to be alive. It truly was. So
yeah.
But yeah,
it was the leg warmers that got me back in 1980. It's like Yeah, I mean all the ladies and all the teenage girls wearing leg warmers and headbands. I mean, was Olivia Newton-John really that great to make
ask my husband.
Yes. They did.
Kill me.
Now,
I wish I didn't get that joke.
ELO, are you talking about Electric Light Orchestra?
Huh? Electric Light Orchestra. Yep.
Look at Masters. Masters in here. Mama me, here I go again. My, how I can resist. Yeah. He knows the right things to push for me, Masters. You're awesome. So, but now Buddy's now talking in 60s Bee Gees were even more awesome than 70s work. That was also great. So, hey, and look at that. We just got the Bee Gees brought in here. How about that? Anyway.
Okay. So apparently Buck Rogers, he apparently smuggled a squirrel into the conversation.
That's okay. We do that here. We gotta have
that happens.
Exactly. So now, what they did, what some of the we talked about, this soundtrack features a song called "Suspension." It's sung by Kip Lennon and co-written by Glenn A. Larson. And, you have to go. There's words out there. Maybe sometime we'll look at it a little bit more. But it really set the mood. It really was like it was like like somebody that was lost from home, searching for home, and just kind of stuck in in a time where, and it was like I thought the words, the tune, the movement of the music all added into like a kind of like a sad loneliness feel that was like I thought a really good introduction into the show and to the show. Were y'all familiar with the title?
Great point.
Yeah. Daisy or Hungry or JT, I don't know if you've seen the first one with the music. Have y'all got any thoughts on the intro theme song?
JT? No,
yeah,
Lisa?
JT,
Daisy? Fuck. Pardon my.
Oh, you're good, Hungry.
Whoa!
You got your quote out for the night.
No!
Like Lisa says, it's a point. Music is a key. Like we talked about.
That is correct.
Right.
Yes,
many
completely.
Yeah.
Yes,
the
Lisa,
music.
It is.
I found it perfectly competent. I don't know yet if it fits the show. I want to see how well it actually fits the actual show, and then I will evaluate my opinion further after that.
That is a good point.
Yes.
You see, JT's got his own musical background. So JT comes from a different aspect. That's why I like the four of us together, because we all have, beyond just the age and experience, we all have different backgrounds and styles and stuff that we like. So you're going to get different opinions here, and that's wonderful. If we get different opinions, we will. But what counts is my opinion, because I'm supreme and reign over all. No, I'm just kidding. Hey, that was supposed to be a joke, JT and Hungry. Oh gosh, but yeah,
please laugh.
I know, but it all.
Please applaud.
I
man, the politician. Yes, please applaud.
Yeah, there you go. But it's always good to see different perspectives with it, because Stu Phillips did that the music on this, and he was famous for doing a lot of the music in the 1970s shows. I went back to look. Now, he obviously did not write that particular intro song, but there was some of his composer. His credits go into a lot of things. The Highwaymen was a TV show. The Fall Guy, he did that on a lot of the episodes of The Fall Guy. See, Knight Rider.
Oh yeah, Kit.
Chicago Story. Quincy M.E. BJ and the Bear. You want a cute show?
Go look at Sheriff Lobo. Don't bring that show up, please.
Why? It had a chimpanzee in it. What could be wrong with that?
No, it's okay, but this is actually one of the sore points with Glenn A. Larson is, he would look at some films that were very popular, like Every Which Way But Loose with Clint Eastwood with the orangutan, and say, I could put that on television. I could put a guy in a truck with a monkey. And then
Right turn, Clyde.
Yeah.
Daisy, yes. Yeah, right there, Clyde. Oh, beautiful. Thank you.
Dodger, yes.
Fun flashbacks.
Oh my God! Oh, now see, that would be the Misadventures of Sheriff Lobo, though. But hey, because that's the one. He also did Galactica 1980, and the original Battlestar Galactica. He worked on some of those. He's a composer for The Hand of God, Baltar's Escape. some of those songs. So, and Hardy Boys, Nancy Drew Mysteries also. So,
nice.
Once again, we have somebody that's had a track record. He was McLeod was another one that he worked. It was composing these songs. Yes, exactly. Yes. So, and that, like I said, we talked about the importance the music was, especially in the 70s show. Hell, half the time in the 70s, 80s shows, I wanted to forget the TV show. I could just listen to the theme song on the loop.
Yeah.
Many
like
times.
Kojak. I mean, Kojak had a great theme song, but a lot of these shows had great theme songs and incidental music. And Daisy and JT knows what I mean by the difference between theme and incidental music. So, for the chat, but I'd love to hear you both talk about this, and I'll mute. But, the differences between this theme song that inspires us so much, and I love the Buck Rogers theme song a lot, but a lot of the music and the incidental was actually pretty fab as well.
Before y'all come in on it, I want to say what Master said here, that music was my first love, and it will be my last. Music of the future and music from the past. Very well said. So, but yeah. Any other thoughts, JT or Daisy, for the music?
I'm sorry. I was reading chat.
Oh, you're
Lisa
awesome.
Lisa and the Hardy Boys, and I'm going,
yeah. Uh-huh. Well, Lisa also loved Quincy, so oh my gosh. Yeah, so
what I'm curious to see is how the music is going to play throughout the episode, and then compare that to what I've seen many times before watching this show with Star Trek Voyager with the Captain Proton episodes, because they have pretty hammy music in the Captain Proton scenes there. So I'm also going to be listening to see how those two kind of line up.
Yeah, exactly. And that's the thing. At least in my opinion, I don't know if you watched the first two yet, but at least to me, without going into things, to me, it worked in many, many cases. But like you said, you have to look at it, see it, how he does for you. And it'll be interesting to see what conclusions we come up with, because that's what we're going to do. Because have fun with this, and we get the diverse opinions at where we need to, and it's all good, and we'll have some fun with it. I look forward to it. So
my vote is out on the theme, the intro music, I lost the word, the song that you would associate with the TV show itself.
Yeah, suspension.
The looking at it as an adult, I look back, I think it's not quite the style of music that I'm into at this point in my life. And I was watching the intro from the point of how different an intro it is, showcasing the ladies, than a show would nowadays, how they would do this is the intro to your TV series or the movie. This was the movie, of course. Right. The intro song seemed a bit pop music-y to me, but that would be normal for that time.
Right. Yeah, good point. Pop Culture Republic said, wow, didn't think I'd hear the Highwayman mentioned again. That's an old show, but yeah, it's wonderful. So he also said Simon had a great theme song, Hardcastle. That's a show we could do, but you know what's a shame is that we can't play the daggum songs. That's stinks.
No,
there's so many great themes out there though. And Masters again said music was a great part of every hit movie in the 80s. Sometimes the movie did not even deliver, but the soundtrack took off. Flash Gordon 80s would be a great example.
Good point. No Flash Gordon 1980 without Queen.
Queen is just
Queen is live. Queen is live.
I saw Queen live.
Oh wow! I'm jealous. So envious.
I saw a reincarnation of it back in 2019. Not with not with the originals. No Freddie Mercury, but it was still amazing. But,
well, I sang Fat Bottom Girls on a karaoke stream once. Does that count?
No comment.
Not one of my favorite songs, but
Well, they made the rock and world go round. There's a salute to all ladies, so that's good. It was all, anyway. Yeah. Queen is fantastic to this day. Xanadu was Olivia Newton-John.
Olivia Newton-John.
I'm sorry, that Beavis stuck in my head. Beavis and Butthead episode stuck in my head. I can't hold it back. But,
oh my God, I'm going to have to tell my husband you said that.
Well, that's what Beavis on an episode called her Olivia Newton-John. So it's like... Beavis and Butthead, one of the two that, sorry, but hey. And it's Stunning is here. The Galactic Overlord is here now.
Hello, Stunning.
Hey,
Hello, Stunning.
I've never had chats pop like they've done lately. So anyway, hey, Decepticons, your Rightful Lord Master has returned.
Lisa.
Good to see you, sir.
Now, the Queen song that I like that most people don't pay attention to is Radio Gaga.
Oh, God, I love that song.
That song is just awesome, and that same kind of situation has come for TV now. Because of streaming and YouTube and all the rest,
True.
So it's just,
yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So
that's an amazing song. And the video that goes with that song is
Ditto.
when MTV used to play actual music television. That video was amazing for Radio Gaga. Yeah.
Back when video clips were more akin to a micro movie using the music as a script. And that's when things, what I mean? That's when things mattered. That's when they mattered.
Oh, absolutely. So many great songs. I mean, it's just, it's like, I like the point made, forget the movie, forget the TV show. Just give me the theme song, It's like Greatest American Hero had a great theme song, but it's like, I didn't care about the show, but hey.
They used to put out records. They used to put out records that just had the theme songs on them.
Yeah.
So you could buy a single album and it would have the theme songs for a whole bunch of different TV shows on it.
Right. And that goes back to mini records in the 60s. They would do that. And
we called them 45s.
Oh, and Greatest American Hero, that was actually on American and Australian radio just as a song, even for people to back you up, Dad, man, who didn't give a crap about the show. But the song was great. The song was wonderful.
Yeah. Now, about the production of this show a little bit here, there was, they said several shots in the movie were actually filmed at the Westin Bonaventure Hotel in Los Angeles, California. Other stock shots portraying futuristic buildings on Earth are that of remaining pavilions on the site of Expo 67, including British and French National Pavilion, now known as the Montreal Casino. These shots were also included in the Battlestar Galactica episode Greetings from Earth in 1979, which they were said to be a city on the planet parodying. So basically, it's interesting to see how they retreaded some stuff from Battlestar Galactica in here, but they used some ruins to be like to be part of the futuristic society right then. With how they made those things. It was a really interesting show. It's going to be interesting to see how we get into this, and between the music and the effects and the scenes that we will see. I'm looking forward to this episode, to these TV shows as we look at it. But it's just part of a bigger universe. With the Buck Rogers. We're going to focus on the 79-81 TV show, but this thing has got a lot of history. And it dates back to the 20s, actually.
It dates back to 1929, not right before, but before the Great Depression hit.
Would you like to go ahead and take us there?
Oh, well, we can. I'd like to hear you talk a little bit, but I just want people to appreciate how old this intellectual property really is. And the fact that it technically goes back to 1928 because of Pulp Fiction sci-fi. But I'd like to hear more of what you think and say.
Yeah. On January 7, 1929, the Buck Rogers in the 25th Century AD comic strip debuted. It's also the date that Tarzan comic strip began, also distributed by United Feature Syndicate. Oh, that's an old name. Buck Rogers was initially syndicated to 47 newspapers And on March 30, 1930, a Sunday strip joined the Buck Rogers Daily strip. So
be interested to know what newspapers and how big the readership was on that.
Oh, it was actually almost national, JT. We'll talk about that in a moment. And also then by the time we were hitting around 1940, it was going international, but I want to hear more what Dadman has to say.
So then over the years, there have been many appearances in comic books in his own series. In the 1930s, there were comics Famous Funnies, 2 appearances in Vic's Comics, both published by Eastern Color Printing. Then in 1940, Buck got his own comic entitled Buck Rogers, which lasted for 6 issues, again, published by Eastern Printing. Kellogg's Cereal Company produced 2 Buck Rogers giveaway comics, one in 1933 and again in 1935. In 1951, Toby Press released 3 issues of Buck Rogers, all reprints of the comic strip. In 1955, an Australian company called Atlas Productions produced 5 issues of Buck Rogers in the 25th century. There was a single issue of Buck Rogers comic book in 1964 by Gold Key Comics. A second series was based on the 1979 television Buck Rogers in the 25th century and published from 1979 to 1982, first by Gold Key, then by Whitman Publishing, continuing the numbering from the 1964 single issue. So, and then there were a number of books of Buck Rogers dating back to 1933, Buck Rogers, 25th century AD. From 1933, there's a number of books all the way up through 1943 where it was Buck Rogers and the Super Dwarf of Space. Of course, in radio, it was in 1932, there was a radio program. It was notable as the first science fiction program on radio.
Right.
It was broadcast in 4 separate runs in varying schedules. Broadcast is a 15-minute show on CBS from 7 November 1932. It was a Monday to Thursday schedule. In 1936, it moved to a Monday, Wednesday, Friday schedule and went off the air in May of that year. It was brought back in 1939, 1940, had a 30-minute version broadcast on Saturdays. And then from 46 to 1947, Mutual aired a 15-minute version on weekdays. So you had it, different formats between comics, comic books, newspapers, radio. There's another in 1946, a radio show sponsored contest named the Buck Rogers Spaceship, and the person that won a brand new white bicycle with blue trimmed. So look at that, the things you do. Film and television adaptations at the World's Fair. There was a 10-minute Buck Rogers film called Buck Rogers in the 25th Century, an interplanetary battle with the Tiger Men of Mars. And there's your Tiger Man. Premiered at the 1933 Chicago World's Fair. John Deal Jr., son of strip baron John F. Deal, stars in the film. And it was later shown in department stores to promote Buck Rogers merchandise. And it had more back then. So we've got that. Let's see. It is available. There was a Buck Rogers cereal, which is had Buck Rogers, Wilma Deering, Dr. Hewer, Killer King.
Is it made by
Ardella?
General Mills or Kellogg's?
I don't know. It could be Wheaties. I don't know. So now
anyway, sorry.
You're good. That's awesome. That's good timing. That's good timing. But yeah, and so the movie serial, there's a 12-part Buck Rogers serial film that was produced in 1939 by Universal Pictures Company. Buck Rogers, played by Buster Crabbe, and his young friend Buddy Wade, got caught in a blizzard, forced to crash an airship in the Arctic waste. In order to sort of survive until they could be rescued, they inhaled their supply of Nirvana gas, puts them in a state of suspended animation. When they are eventually rescued by scientists, they learn 500 years have passed. So,
Nirvana,
and it's a little different. What's that?
Nirvana,
yeah. So then basically they wake up. You have a dictator named Killer Kane, and his henchmen now run the world. And now Buck and Buddy must save the world. And they do so with the help of Lieutenant Wilma Deering and Prince Talon of Saturn. So there's a lot, that's the serial version. That there was talk, there's some talk about where it went to, how far this goes back. 1950 to 51, there was a television show The first version of Buck Rogers appeared on television, debuted on ABC April 15, 1950, ran until January 30th, 1951. There were a total of 36 black and white episodes in all. One episode of the show survives today. So that's the history of this whole franchise. It goes back and then leads it up to the 79 TV show.
Well, now, I mean, there's one thing that's kind of left out here, and I'm not trying to correct you, pop culture, no. But I'm just saying that it started out actually as 2 stories in Amazing Stories magazine, which is the godparent and grandparents of all science fiction that we know and love today. Amazing Stories is where you get Ray Bradbury, erasing so many other great authors. You get people like Isaac Asimov writing for that. And so the initial Buck Rogers, his original name was Anthony, I might add. Anthony Rogers. You get one story, it does really well, and then less than a year later, about 9 months later, they say, "Can you do another one for us?" And so he does another one, and it is very popular. So then you get a certain guy who's working in newspapers at the time, who was very aware of how much money that cartoon strips in newspaper strips are making. He says, "All right, hey dude, you're a science fiction writer. If I hook you up with an artist, are you okay with trying this other medium out? And it, probably help you out?" Guy says yes. So they hook him up with the appropriate artist, and we start getting the 1929 cartoon strips. It is a house on fire, and everyone loves it. And it is so beloved that afterwards a competitor decides we need to do this for ourselves, but they're not actually doing an adaptation. See, this is one of the interesting things about Buck Rogers. It's one of the original first adaptations. So you have somebody writing something purely in text. Just text, maybe with an illustration, and then it becomes a newspaper strip, and then it gets adapted into a comic book, and then it gets adapted into serials, and then it gets adapted into the TV show, and that's magnificent. Whereas Flash Gordon was actually created to just say, can we rip this off and can we make some money out of it? And the proof of the pudding is in the eating. And so the original Buck Rogers, the first time you see Buck Rogers in a newspaper is 1929. The first time you see Flash Gordon is 1934. So everyone who says Buck Rogers is a ripoff of Flash Gordon, you kind of got it backwards. So, and I get very defensive about that because I am very much into provenance. And who is ripping off who, because that kind of stuff bothers the hell out of me. I don't mean to get serious now, but they're both very good science fiction properties. And Flash Gordon is a little bit more science fantasy, going back to what we said at the top of the show at the beginning. But it is still wonderful, and I absolutely love the Flash Gordon cartoon strips and a lot of the comic book stuff. But I in a way, intellectually, I prefer Buck Rogers. So I just had to get that off my chest.
Okay.
Yeah, because you can look about. There's a lot of history. You can find the titles of the books, and there's a lot of stuff out there. But like Hungry said,
and reprints of the strips.
And there's a lot of that. And we're going to look at some of the strips real quick. Let's do that before Daisy has to leave. All right, Daisy, would you like to see the comic strips?
I would love to. All
right. Well, Hungry, I'm just going to pull them up. I kind of got them. We got the comic books and the comic strips and the 2 comic panels. I'm just going to pull them up and we go. Hello. Hey, Bubba Doom. Good to see you tonight.
Hey, Bubba. Great to see you.
Good to see you. Make sure everybody, y'all are still subscribed because, weird things are happening. Check your subs and make sure you get the notifications, everybody. Good to see you tonight, Bubba Doom. And everybody that's here with us. We got like 20 something likes tonight. Make sure you've hit that like button. Yeah, we're rocking it tonight. And folks, if you don't know, this is not the only night for Buck Rogers. Starting next Friday night at 9 p.m., we will be starting an episodic review. Next week, we will look at the first 2 episodes, which is really a 2-parter of one, and be trying to do 2 episodes per week going forward, and just have some fun with it. And enjoy sharing some memories. Tonight, we're talking a little bit of an overall view of the whole Buck Rogers series. So let me go ahead and shut up and let me bring this cartoon panel
okay,
up here.
but also I again I have to apologize for getting ornery there. It has to do with my acumen and my personal professional background.
You're okay. You're okay. Don't apologize. It's like when I go off on the Dad Man roundabout Darth Maul, you know, when Master's out there.
Okay.
Yeah, so you're entitled to. Exactly.
Okay,
so,
fair enough.
Now one day I'll see if Daisy will go on a rant. Then we'll really have hit the gold mine if she goes on a rant.
The kitty claws come out. Yes.
Yeah, I have claws. I have teeth too. You know, sometimes kitty cats hiss.
No,
Ooh.
I've been bitten by a kitty cat, and you know the claws are nothing compared to those little fangs they got.
The little fangs are what gets you. Yeah.
Yes. You know.
Well, 17. We got 17 great people with us tonight. It's an honor.
Hail
guys,
the chat. Hail the
chat. Absolutely.
Hello, chat. So, we love
all right,
you.
let me turn it over. Hungry. Now you're going to kind of take a little bit of the lead in here because Hungry this is in his wheelhouse. The art, the comics, and a lot of the history. So, you know, feel free, and we'll jump in. And JT, you know, if you got questions, Daisy, let's chime in with questions as we see stuff. But here, Hungry, can you see this well enough?
Okay, so that's modern Buck Rogers. This goes back to 1990. Okay, but we have Princess Ardala here, and it's done by one of the greatest comic book artists who ever lived, Gray Morrow. And he worked from a little bit in the 40s, but he worked in late 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. He's fantastic. And this first one you're showing is actually very, very modern, but very, I mean, okay, we're kind of pushing the PG-13 here a little bit.
Well, you know what, Hungry, we're okay. We're talking in a professional situation. Yeah. We are talking legitimately. Don't worry about the PG-13. It goes where it goes because we're adults, because all the programming is not marked safe for kids. And we got, we treat the subject matter respectfully. We have to do what we have to do. So feel free to put in whatever perspective you have to. And hello, Courtney.
Hello, Courtney. Good
Love to
Courtney. See you,
so,
baby. Hey. Love to see you.
Yes, she knows that voice. Yes. So, okay. She knows that voice. So go ahead.
Well, I mean, I love this. I oftentimes I love this period of comic book art in the way that we were all doing it professionally most, but it's not my favorite Buck Rogers art. I actually prefer the stuff from the 50s, but also when it started out. I really love that golden age art from 1929, and I'm sure you're going to pull some of those up. But just so people can see, when you show the 1929 stuff compared to this, the art is very different. Now that is due to artistic predilections of the time, but it's also due to the art materials that were available at the time, which were different. And the guys in 29 and 1930 did not have access to what people had in the 1960s or what I have access to now. And the other thing too is that the way people were taught to draw was very different when those 1929 guys were growing up and they were in their teenage years. And the expectations of the aesthetic in strips, in cartoon strips in 29 to 34 were incredibly different. So we're going to see a big jump in style here. And I'm just warning people so, they're prepared. Because it's like a 1931 Frankenstein movie compared to a 1958 Curse of Frankenstein by Hammer Horror compared to that awful abomination that starred Robert De Niro.
Right. Okay. And this is another frame. This one's back, though. This is a 65 comics, though.
Yeah, but that was the newspaper strip versus the 90s comic. So this is showing Wilma Deering still being very sassy. So this is 1990, and the other one you're showing is 30 years before that.
Which is to your point earlier, what you said, she was, especially like with Aaron Gray that we see you're introduced in here, is the sassy, like, take no crap, serious officer. This And
in the series, that's how she. We're not doing any spoilers. Overview, but not particular episodes. But Wilma, when she comes out in the comics, but also when she comes out in the newspaper strip in 29, here in 1960, and then in 1979, where we first see her in the show we're talking about, she is sassy. She's in control. She's taking no crap. And it's consistent. And they brought that from the original material into the show. And I love it when somebody does something accurately. It just means the world to me.
Absolutely. And so we'll get to another frame here. Now, these are the
this is the first
1929, folks. This is the 1929.
Wow.
Worcester. I call it Worcester.
You can see the newsprint, the paper color.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. So,
by Phil Nolan, who actually created Anthony Rogers, who became Buck Rogers in Amazing Stories, and the very great cartoonist who had to work with very bad materials, Richard Calkins.
Now, was this India Ink back at this time?
Yep.
Okay.
India ink, a little bit of brush, not much, and a lot of nibs. Steel.
Could you explain to folks what that is?
Yes, thank you, JT. Thank you, JT.
Oh shit! Damn it! I swore. Oh no!
3, and you did it again. You got 3.
Oh,
you're getting so many tickets from the
swear jar. Swear jar.
Boy, you have been fined 3 credits for violation of the verbal morality statute.
Okay.
That is correct.
All right, you guys keep joking. I'm going to get a beverage, and
get a beverage. But I do want to hear this.
Enhance your calm.
Yeah, I got to.
Yeah.
I'm so hyped up. I'm sorry. I'm so hyped up.
You're
but then
good.
I'll answer JT's question. Give me a moment.
Yes, exactly.
1 second.
So let me go back to the chat real quick. Let me see, because Courtney came. But yeah. So what do y'all think, JT and Daisy, with the comics? Looking at, especially as well preserved as this is from 1929, how do y'all like the comics?
Hard to see what's going on, to be honest, but it's 1929, so I mean,
I like Sunday comics. Now, I'm not sure, JT, did you ever get? They still make newspapers, I know this, but did you ever get to experience as a child growing up reading the comics in the Sunday newspaper, or is that not
on Sundays?
A thing?
Yes, on Sundays, yes, yeah. No, I just for context, I graduated high school in 2005. So I grew up through the late 80s up through the 90s. And
holy crap.
So newspapers were definitely still the primary way to get news and all that. So no, I still did the looking for the Target ads on Sundays, the giant Sunday ad drop to see, what you wanted to bug your parents for that you were never going to get. But hey, all that. So
I wasn't trying to insinuate that you were really young kid.
Oh, no.
Whether
not at all. No, I didn't take it that way. I'm just saying, nope. I still grew up in a time where I learned the card catalog briefly.
We love it.
Oh, nice.
Know how to read a map.
Yeah,
I know how to read a map. And so some of these old things, I'm at the very
lost skills
of that.
I bet you can make change.
Yes.
That you can make change.
Yes.
Yes.
No,
guys,
both of you
guys are awesome.
Listen, I gotta, oh man, that joke. The thing is, can JT? Here's a real talent. Reading a map's one thing, but folding it back to be perfect the way you bought it from the gas station is entirely different.
That
origami
depends on the size of the map. The AAA ones, yes, I can do those pretty well.
Impressed.
Some
of them have eluded me though.
I want to catch up a little bit in the chat. We got 18 people with us right now, so smash that like button. Make sure you're still subscribed with us. But I want to say this: MMM, one of my dogs of Wilma, one of the first TV crush I remember. Yeah, I agree.
Nice.
I mean, mine's still going to be Athena from the other one from Battlestar Galactica. But yeah, but that was definitely one. And he said Wilma was very comfortable. Was just trying to keep a little professional distance, a little sassy, but not over the board. Exactly.
Right.
Courtney can't leave and just listen. Well, that's what we do here. We suck you in. You guys in the chat help make this a daggum squirrel chasing stream at times. So
Courtney is our Joan Jett.
Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, she is. But listen, she tell you put a quarter in the jar. Not the she don't want you to sing. She wants you to talk. But boom, Bubba Doom's like, here come the truck.
Oh no, I feel so guilty now.
No,
oh my god,
Daisy, I did in the '90s collect the Calvin and Hobbes comic strip compilations, as well as I would read the Garfield ones from the public library as well. But I did not
Garfield.
There were so many of those, you could never collect them all.
No, you couldn't.
Then I would read, what was it, not All in the Family, but the one that was usually like two slides or two frames.
Let me think.
It was usually in color. Gosh. Anyway, and then there was a military one. So it's been
Beetle Bailey.
Years.
Beetle Bailey was the military.
Beetle Bailey.
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah. And then Hagar the Horrible. I would read that.
Oh yeah.
Well, look, Hagar the Viking. Yeah. Master said he buy it just to get that. And Family Circus is another one that's
Family Circus. That was the one it was. Thank you, Mr.
Exactly.
Good cartoon.
Yeah.
Good cartoon.
In the misses. Yep.
But I do want to get back to what JT, the question you had asked Hungry a second. India Inc. You said, is that what you said?
Okay. Yes. Can you guys with apologies and the chat, can you buckle up for a moment? We're going to get technical for a few seconds.
Please go ahead.
Okay. So the first thing is a lot of people don't understand the difference between paper and board. So this kind of art, whether it's done for newspapers or done for comic books, is done on board, not paper. So that basically means you're taking two very, very specific types of acid resistance papers, and then you are using a special gluing process to sandwich them together to create board, very similar to, let's say, the weight of a thick business card. Okay. Now, the reason you did that is because if you do this wonderful art on something as flimsy as paper, it's not going to survive transportation, even by one bus ride and one train ride to get to the publishers of this material. So it's got to be on firmer stuff. Now, that also means that the way the ink is received is different from paper to board. And so a lot of these materials were designed specifically for illustration versus fine art. And then once you have the board, what you got is you have the ink you're working with, which is India ink. And there are some inks that are water resistant and some that are not. So India ink is one of the first inks, black inks, that were very reproducible for the photomechanical process, because we didn't have digital back here. And Claudia knows what I'm talking about. You had to actually photograph this crap with cameras.
Oh, no.
Yes, with cameras.
With actual film inside the camera?
Yes.
But think of how much detail you lose taking a photograph of art.
That's why it was so professionally done, and very few people were trusted in doing that part of the process. So that's why it's called a photomechanical process in illustration. But then we also are looking at how is the ink applied to the board. Now, sometimes you'll be using a brush with a nice point on it. But in this case, this is using a nib. So it is very similar to a crow quill or which comes from the quill. You know, when people were using goose quills and raven quills in order to write and do calligraphy, but also do illustration. And then by the 1800s, we figured out how to make the same shape of that nib in metal. And so a softer version, not hard, a softer version of steel was preferable. And so you attach that to a handle and you dip that in the ink. And that is how you are getting these lines here. And the technique is very important because you can do things where you're just moving your wrist and your fingers for the little itty bitty lines. But when you need a flowing line, that's when you have to have courage. You must have courage. And you must have bravery, and you must be able to move from the elbow and move across the page, across the board. And that's what's going on here. And that is why if we look at particularly if we look at panel 3 here, panel 4, where Wilma is adjusting the backpack on Buck.
Let me see.
Now, Yes.
I can.
Yeah. Thank you for zooming in. Now, look at the detail of the brush, the grass, in the background, and look at these fine lines that are on Buck's forearm. That actually takes a very specific style of motion, physical style of motion, while you are handling the brush and the nib. And in addition to that, you can't just use for stuff like this. You can't just use the ink out of the bottle. You actually have to wet the nib a little bit. So there is a combination of water with ink, so it flows properly off the steel nib. And that is why we are getting this beautiful detail here. That is why the hair looks so wonderful. And that is why, if you look on the previous panel, we have Wilma's legs looking magnificent, right? With that line from the thigh to the knee to the shin bone, and the way her feet are delineated. And then below that, you can see Buck's hair. And these pictures you're showing, unfortunately, they're not as good as they would have been seen in the actual newspapers by people who bought the newspapers, because so much of that material has just died, physically died, because it was on paper. And it is rotted
and whatnot.
Yes, it is rotted away. And a lot of the original art, and you got, please don't be too upset when I share this with you. Okay, it's something that in cartoon strips and with comic book stuff, and Clobby and I commiserate about this all the time. A lot of the original art was thrown away, not even given back to the artist. It was thrown away. It went into a dumpster, and it's gone. And that is just stupid. That is just rocks. No, it's not rock stupid. It's village stupid. Callback.
Yeah, that's
exactly
unbelievable.
And this is beautiful art. This should have been kept.
Your whole
just
discussion
given back to the artist. Why throw it away instead of giving it back to the artist? What was the point of that?
Because I think a lot of times back then everything was thrown away. Look at they just abandoned stuff. I mean, even in World War II, there was equipment just left many places around the world. And a lot of times, I think people just throw it away. Nobody down the road would think about this or attach it to meaning. It's just something it's just a thing,
Good point.
And I think that there was, go ahead, JT.
How large were these actually illustrated on? And was it, because you read it in a paper, it's not terribly large. It seems like maybe it was illustrated in a larger size physically and then shrunk later.
That was varied. That there was a variation in that, and that is an excellent question. Thank you, JT. God, I love your brain. You almost make me wish I was bisexual so I could date you. I love your brain.
God, you taught PG-13. PG-13.
Excuse me.
Well, I will gladly take the compliment. Thank you.
Sorry, guys. Had to make you laugh. I got too serious.
That's awesome. I sit here like, what the heck? I'm trying to catch up with chat. I'm like, what?
What is happening right now? Oh my goodness!
Welcome to my channel where everybody hits on everybody. But go ahead, Daisy.
I was going to say on the same thing that JT is speaking about how they would draw these in single panels and how big they would be. Let me see in chat, Bubba.
This one right here.
Bubba Doom asked a question kind of along those lines. Yes, about the panels and the board. And I think those two kind of go together, those two questions.
I'll answer both. I just want to do it quickly so you can talk. So you guys can talk. Okay?
This one here is panel 3. So yes.
Okay. Now, when you're doing a strip panel, all right, like we're seeing here, you would have a piece of artboard, okay, that was very horizontal. And all these panels were drawn on the same board. All of them, just like in a comic book page, when you look at the original art, this answers the size question. What you see that is 9 inches by a little less than 9 inches by a little more than 11 inches in a printed comic is generally done at a 10 inches wide by 15 inches high size. So this allows the artist to actually draw larger, so you get more of a sense of detail in the art when it is reduced in size. And that actually serves two purposes. So number one, you're reducing it in size to increase the detail and the enjoyment of the audience and the reader. But number two, that means to the newspapers and also in comic books, you can squeeze more stuff onto that page. Maybe it's an advertisement. Maybe it's a news article associated with it. That did not happen with the actual cartoons because they would actually put the cartoons layered one on top of the other, all the different titles, all the different characters. Yeah. Well, but you could squeeze stuff in, and you know, we have to admit, and I'm a capitalist, I'm not a socialist. You got to go for that value for budget. You got to look at that.
What about Bub Doom's question? If you screwed up a panel, would you have to trash the whole thing?
That would occasionally happen, but the thing is, screwing up one panel, when you train to do this kind of stuff like I did, Bubba, the thing is, by the time you're ready to be published, you don't screw up that much. So, like, imagine, how many times does Barbara Streisand screw up a note when she's singing on stage live? Not very often. Not very often. Mm-hmm. So, you would hold on. Same with the costumes.
The missus said here about costumes are recycled for other movies.
Yeah.
Yes. Good point. Excellent point, Mrs. But if you did mess up, what would generally happen is you would use a form of white paint to make an adjustment. Now, if the problem was too great, what you would do is actually cut out the part that was the problem, and you would cut out a new piece of blank board. And you would fit them together like a jigsaw puzzle. And on the back, you would use either rubber cement, which was very common from 1929 up until 1950s. And you would apply that and you would draw over it. And the photomechanical process would generally not see the mistake. But sometimes if you know what to look for, you could catch it. And yeah, and sometimes by the time we got to 1965, liquid paper, if you knew how to thin it down with the appropriate chemical element.
Oh, liquid paper.
Yes, liquid paper, the real stuff.
I liked liquid. Yeah.
As a teacher, you know about liquid paper. Yeah. Anyone who's been a teacher knows about liquid paper. And you know what I mean. And so you would apply that very thinly. You would thin it down and you would apply it, making it, and you would pat it. You would pat it with the little brush that came with the liquid paper bottle, and make it as smooth as possible. And you would ink over it. So the thing is, you always draw it in pencil first. These days it is graphite. Back with what we're looking at now, they were actual lead pencils. Grades of lead, and you would have to be very careful about that because once you inked over it, you had to erase the pencil lines, because if the pencil line was dark enough, it would show up in the photomechanical process and make the art look worse than it should. And that was still the case in comic books in the 50s and the 60s, and when I was doing them professionally for the big companies. So you had to be very careful about the materials you were working with, and you needed to know how to use them properly. But a good ink line is absolutely integral to this form of art. And the other thing that you guys don't know is a lot of times the poor artist, like Culkin doing this stuff here, they would often have to do the lettering as well, which sucks. And let me tell you, I hate lettering. I suck at it. It is a beastly process, and it is often unrecognized. But to make things legible here, and this was all the lettering was done by hand with a different kind of nib, by the way, a different kind of nib. There are lettering nibs, and then there are art nibs, and they're entirely different. So this was inked using the 1929 version of a Hunt Speedball C-6, which I have used myself. And it is very difficult. Look at the spaces between the letters and then the spaces between the words. That actually takes a lot of talent and skill.
It's just amazing to sit here and look at that. And
then you use the bigger nib for Great Scott. See, nib, the tip of the nib is bigger, so the words become bolder.
Oh yeah, how clever! Yeah.
And you'd have to switch nibs.
I mean, it's difficult enough if you're trying to organize something like today, and you have different fonts, and you're trying to, decide whether you're making something italic or you're making it bold or you're doing this or that. To just do this freehand and use different nibs to get that all in the right space so that it almost looks like you typed it.
Right.
That is amazing.
And let me tell you, it is a horrible process and takes a lot out of you, Daisy. It really
I can imagine.
And I suck at it.
As an artist who drew, at putting words in, forget it.
Yeah. Hey.
But the other thing too, and this goes to the conceptual side of the art. Mm-hmm. Look at where we were focusing on now. Look at Wilma and the way she's jumping up and her body language. She's in control, but she's still a little bit sexy. And you can tell Buck Rogers he doesn't know it, but subconsciously he's getting a little crush on Wilma right now, right in this panel. And that is subtlety. That is subtlety. And that is something that I just love about this particular epoch, epoch, of art in my field of endeavor. And even though there's no color here, we can imagine the color, just like when we watch black and white movies. Like we can look at Frankenstein, 1931 with Boris Karloff, right? And we don't need the color if the artistry and the skill is applied in the right way.
Mm-hmm.
Just like Star Trek TOS, right, GT?
Exactly. Now, Hungry, my buddy Mr. Niblick had a question a little
this one here. I was not sure how this. I was not sure how. I kind of lost in the language. Maybe y'all can understand. If they use the really nice inks on the original boards, how is that detailed able to be translated to the lower quality inks and printing processes to make sure quality was preserved?
Oh God, I love the fact you asked that question, but man, that is really tough on me. Okay, that's oh my God. When you work in comic books, you learn, as I said, the photo mechanical process, and different printers have different standards, Mr. Niblick. And newspapers had, I'm not disrespecting them, but different newspaper lines and publishers had different standards. So a lot of times you would have something that looked wonderful. This is especially true in comic books, particularly with an inker that Clobby and I joke about all the time, Vincent Coletta. And Vincent would make lines that were appropriate for a glossy fashion magazine with the money they were spending on the reproductive process. That was not the case for comic books that Vinny was inking in, say, 1965 to 1972. So a lot of times the art would look worse than the original art really looked. And that is a crying shame.
That's
right.
A shame.
Well, I mean, imagine JT, with your musical acumen, and this applies to you as well, Daisy. Imagine somebody creates and the ultimate album. Let's say I don't know if you like this album, but the first album by Boston. Okay.
Sure.
I love that album. Now imagine that was recorded on a Nokia 2006 flip phone.
Oh. No.
Wow. You get it.
I like what Bubba Doom said. You find a gal like that, you find a gal that can leap like that, you take her to your mama.
Yes. Yes, absolutely, Bubba. Absolutely. And I mean, you're going to probably show a couple of slides afterwards.
Yeah,
but she continues to be tough. And this is in 1929. I don't want to hear any of this modern crap about, we only created tough women as of 2016. Right,
exactly.
Look at the way Wilma's acting here.
Exactly. And Niblick, Mr. Niblick, don't worry about that. Even if you're not a little, hey, nerd hard. This is the night to nerd hard.
Please.
This whole series is about nerding hard or whatever.
Nerd it up, dude. Nerd it up.
Appreciate it. You got Hungry in his element, and everybody's on fire for this tonight. And I'm glad to have you guys. I mean, I'm blessed, but 3 great panelists tonight. and this is going to be a fun series with that too. So, you know, and hearing you talk about with the art with that, Stunning had actually said something up here too that I guess nowadays
well, he's a fellow artist.
It's easier to fix mistakes by simply drawing the specific panel on a separate sheet or something, or whiteout. Back to whiteout.
Or Stunning. Sometimes, you know, they just use digital processes to digitally paste a new panel where the other panel was not acceptable. And these guys who did this stuff back in the day, these are like the actors who did their own stunts to me for my industry. You know, these are like actors who did not have a stunt actor jump off the train for them. They jumped off the train for the shot themselves.
Yeah.
I'm still going to be interested when I watch Buck Rogers and then seeing this early comic strip to see how they were influenced by Jennifer Lawrence and, you know, how they mirror her. So.
Oh, yeah.
Well,
you know, I remember when I was a kid, you know, I remember Jennifer Lawrence, like, oh my God, she was stunning and brave and amazing. And I just wanted to grow up to be her.
But Daisy, you realize Jennifer Lawrence, you realize Jennifer Lawrence drew this comic book strip, right, Daisy?
She did. She did. Yep.
Oh gosh. Daisy,
I'm gonna go have a headache now.
Did you hear that? That was so dramatic and so you sold that one good, Daisy.
Yes, you did.
You got a voice for YouTube, definitely, man. You pulled that. That was beautiful.
Voice I have for YouTube.
Twitch.
She's got a voice for television.
I mean, she does, yeah.
We get Daisy in a proper voiceover recording booth with, you know, a $900 mic. I mean, she's going to put pay to these people who are not doing the job well.
No, exactly. Heck yeah. Dang straight. I tell you, and JT's got a great voice too. You guys have great voices. So
thank you.
Love having all you guys with me tonight. And so let's go down another panel now. We kicked it around. We can nerd out it all you want to. So we got this. So then we got another panel here from 1929, February 5th.
Can you make it a little bit bigger?
The only problem, I'll have to focus on panels.
I know.
But yes, I can.
Yeah.
That's probably the largest I can make. So
no, that's fine. Thank you.
Yeah. So, you know, he's in a suspended animation, just laying there. And a girl soldier is sailing through the air, crashed at my feet unconscious.
Oh, wow.
So it looks like he had
just
a
look
pistol.
At the detail. Even like the ground, so like the rocks and the grass and the things that are not the characters themselves, but that all of the little details that bring it to life, even though it's in a newspaper, it's a single color. But you can imagine this in 3D, even though it's two-dimensional.
Great point. And that is what an artist, an illustrator, more importantly, because you remember when we were talking about the difference between science fantasy and science fiction? Well, the art, science fiction illustrator, science fantasy gallery artist, so to speak. So when you are an illustrator, you actually have to pay attention to these things that you just mentioned more closely, because you are trying to translate a concept from the writer to a visual extent that everybody looking at the newspaper can understand and appreciate. And I thank you for that. And might I add PG-13. Okay. Panel 13. Sorry, panel 3. Panel 3. Okay.
Okay, right here.
Missing a lot here.
Right here. He's giving her water.
No, that's not the only thing. Anyway,
but there's not a sexual vulgarity here, but there is a sensuality here, and that is acceptable.
There's a huge difference in those two words.
You know exactly what I mean, and so does the missus. And I appreciate you for backing me up on that. But see, there is nothing over the top here. But it is for people who are starting to learn about relationships between man and woman. There's something enticing in the way the panel is drawn, if you know what I mean.
Although the legs, I will critique it. I cannot illustrate this well. The legs, her knees, kind of.
I won't argue
weird
that.
happened there.
I won't argue that, but
yeah, they look a little like the one on the bottom seems a bit puffier than the one on the top.
Puffier.
Yeah.
But overall, you definitely get the sense of style and femininity. You know, you do get a sense of vulnerability and femininity off of how this.
But you get what I mean, JT.
Yeah, you do. What I mean. You do. Yeah.
Yeah. And I mean, this is a woman who is so tough. We've already seen her in the previous strip, right? But now she's looking vulnerable. That shows a variety of psychology in one single character. And I think that's important. Oh, and look at her holding the gun. Look at her holding the gun. I love that.
It's like what he said. He saves her life, and then all of a sudden, now talk about strong female characters.
Yep.
My gun's bigger than your gun.
That looks like a dentist. That looks like.
I know. It's like, is he going to get injected with some kind of?
No, this is not
JT. JT, that's great. That's great.
But I will say, I got to say something real quick because like Bubba Doom, we talked about the nerding. Not only need a nerd hard. I love to hear technical details about others' trade. I even love to see someone that knows what they're doing run a forklift. Good craftsmanship is beautiful.
Yes, it is.
Thank you, Bubba.
Yes, it is.
But look at the craftsmanship here. I mean, the body language and the shadowing. And remember, this is being drawn and published at a time where we did not have the first movie with sound at this time.
Mm-hmm.
And this is before 1931 Dracula and Frankenstein for Universal Pictures. And look at the shadowing, the lighting in this, and his body posture as he's leaning back. I mean, this is great storytelling visually and in terms of the dialogue. You're either crazy or a spy. I've dated these women. I love these women. I love women.
Oh, jeez.
I love the destruction of ancient Pittsburgh in the year 2029. I'm like, oh, please.
Well, the TV show, the 79 TV show talks about New Chicago. So
that's a callback.
Yeah, and now it's like you got like a jungle here almost in a way, and it's kind of a different situation here, more archaic technology, guns. I mean, like that looks like a needle. That's crazy. But
Daisy, I want to ask you. Okay, now let's say, it was a Halloween or a masquerade party. Would you not love to wear that headdress that Wilma is wearing now? That's a great headdress.
That's like a flapper. I think it is thing, isn't it?
I was gonna say it does the whole outfit. It just it's like a flapper. 20s outfit, and yes, I do actually like that. Obviously a lot of those had feathers, very beautiful ones, where the thing on her ear almost like an earmuff, where that would be, they would have an ornament of some sort, and then maybe a little more because the flappers, the outfits, the dresses had some swing to them a little at the bottom.
Yes.
Fringe or something of that nature. But that's very feminine without when showing. Without
on Pittsburgh checks out. Sorry.
Oh no, that's fine.
No. The thing also, Daisy, because I am a microphone nerd. Okay, because I'm into the voiceover stuff. The thing is, I agree exactly with what you said about what's going on over her ears, but it is also very much the actual disc in a microphone from 1929. So it's implying that she's actually she could get radio or communication with that. So it's working into the science fiction versus science fantasy aspect that you talked about an hour ago. And I love that artistically. And as an illustrator, I love it.
It's like the headdress that my avatar has, where the earpiece and headphones and then the microphone to speak. And this would be decades ago.
Yes.
So the science fiction of what the science was capable of in the 1920s. Oh, please don't do that.
No, I just wanted. I just wanted. No, I did it so people could see your avatar. That's all.
Thank you. Okay, so the little blue ears and the what
That's
looks
funny.
like a crown on my head.
I love it.
That's meant to be like the headphones that people wear, and then the little microphone to speak in. That's what.
It's still a cyber kitty, though.
It's a cyber kitty.
Yeah.
Because I'm on Twitch usually.
I just sorry to embarrass you. I just wanted people to see that good.
Oh no, that's fine. Thank you. It just startled me. I'm like, whoa, wait, no. To think that this was decades ago,
right?
And they're taking the science of their
a century ago.
Yes, a century ago.
Sorry.
Nice one, JT. Nice one.
No, that's good. That's very good. The science that they had at that time, and then they put the fiction of where will this science go in the next 100 years, and they were right.
They were right.
Then they were right. You have we have headless. I'm sorry, not headless. Yeah, headless. Where's my brain? Cordless headphones is what I'm trying to say.
I know.
Which is basically what this would be. You could receive the radio signal and you could speak back to the people.
And that goes to Star Trek with the original communicators, which is now the iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
yes.
I mean,
that is correct. Yes.
And I absolutely love that. So that headdress. See, yes, it is. Admittedly, it is very sensual. It is very fashion yummy on a woman. But the thing is, it has a function to it for the story. And that comes up later because Buck Rogers, before Flash Gordon, actually brought up being able to be in a flying harness. And I didn't I think there's one slide I shared with Dadman he might show later, but no problem if we go late or if we got to cut out early. But this strip and before the comic book actually brought up flying harnesses, which is integral to a lot of science fiction, a lot of it. The notion that technology can be adjusted to make you do things that you have been raised to think you cannot do. And that is a very important concept.
Was that in the comic book? Was that in the comic books or was that in the comic strips, Hungry?
I actually sent you, it was a single panel where you see Buck with the flying harness and Wilma with the flying harness.
Give me a second. Y'all keep talking. I'm going to try to... Was it colored or black and white?
Black and white.
Okay. All right. Y'all keep talking. I'm going to look for it.
I was just going to add that good science fiction will inspire young people who have a scientific kind of mind or I want to build that in the real world. Back to the Star Trek thing, the communicators... When I got my first flip phone, I used to open the thing and go, "Quick, Scotty, beam me up," because that's what that was. That's what that was. And but it inspired those kids. It inspired them to grow up and be scientists and create something like that.
Well, I mean, for all we know, Daisy and JT, you can comment about this because you're a different generation. But I am vitally interested in your generation's points of view about this, but particularly you being a good ambassador of your generation. Is it possible, to your mind? Oh, thank you, Courtney. That's lovely. Thank you so much. That some people who helped create the initial smartphones, including the iPhone, which I despise. I'm on Android. But you get the joke.
Same.
Yeah. but
we're all Android.
Yeah.
Dick Tracy had communicator watches too. So
yes,
Brian Hepburn said that.
Yeah.
I mean, there are times I have this sneaking suspicion that the people who are able to make these smartphones were Star Trek fans, and they, even if they were Generation X or an elder Generation Y, they had seen this magnificent science fiction on television and said, I am smart enough using what I know with circuitry and digital technology to help make this happen.
Well, let me interject in right here. Is this the frame? Because the harnesses, we saw this earlier. Is this the one you're talking about with the harnesses, or because the other? Okay, then I couldn't find the other one then, but I got you. But
that could be Tweety, because I've not. Yeah. I mean, you sent me a slew of DMs the other night.
See that's proof to everybody out there. I bombard DMs, so it's like you're not. If you get a bunch of them, you're not unique. So.
But I didn't get them until this morning. You sent them last night,
and then I sent a whole shift a day too. No, I'm kidding, but yeah. I listened to Daisy laughing, but on that note, I do need to let Daisy go. We're going to keep going with this a little bit longer.
No.
But we got 19 people here. Daisy, it's a pleasure to have you with us.
Thank you. This is so interesting, and I'm so sorry I have to go. But I will watch the rest of this later. So,
I'm gonna miss you.
Yeah, I'm gonna miss you guys too, because this is just really cool. I mean, and the chat is on fire. So thank you so much for inviting me, and
absolutely.
If you guys are really having fun, and it looks like you are, please come back next week. We're going to do the series proper, probably every Friday, except of course there are holidays coming up, and that would be at 6 p.m. 9 Eastern.
Right here,
because some of us live in the other time zone.
There is only one time zone, and it's Eastern.
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I grew up with you people in your Eastern time zone.
What do you mean, you people?
You people in your superior time zone, please.
But look at that.
And by the way, JT, by the way, screw you. I am 19 hours ahead of you.
I know.
Yeah.
But look at that.
Time zones all over the place.
Bubbadoom, yes, the 1970 to 81 series, Buck Rogers 25th Century, will be a roughly weekly type thing. We'll look at 2 episodes per week. When they're a 2-parter, it'll be basically the 2 parts together. Daisy will be on the panel, Hungry Boy and JT Kirk. That's why we did tonight, to reveal this and to come out with a unveiling party. We did. I guess we did a show reveal, not a gender reveal, but we didn't do stupid stunts that use balloons and colors and stuff. So hey,
but before Daisy goes away, okay. The one thing I want to add, because you can like the original version of something and then the new version of something, right? Like we've been looking at the comic book strips, and then we might be looking at some comic book, which is different art later. But the thing that I love about the original Buck Rogers is he actually was in a mine, like, mining for aluminum or mining for copper, etc. And there was a gas that put him into a sleep until he woke up and met Wilma. And I think that's just as enjoyable if you're willing to go with the flow as the television show. But the television show did a good job of adapting that for 1979.
Now, was that original one the one where he was a football player?
He was a biplane pilot.
Okay, but there was one I thought that he was an athlete, but
that's Flash. That's Flash.
Okay, then I got him twisted. Okay, then I got him twisted around. But basically, you can have a different. But your basic point is you can have a different starting point, but you still get to the same thing with the same thing. But hey, Daisy, I appreciate you being here tonight, and I know
Daisy. Thank you so much.
We love having you and look forward to us going forward. And of course, Daisy's always my co-host on the last Wednesday of the month when we look at movies. And I guess next month or next time we meet Daisy, we'll have to look at the 4th Indiana Jones, the Nuke the Fridge one. So
which one is that?
The Nuke the Fridge one.
But I thought there was only 3.
Well, there are, but there's this fanfic alien obsession nuking the fridge thing that we've heard about. So we've gone out onto the internet and found this thing because the chat wanted us to cover it. So, the chat rules. So,
Exactly.
So we're going to do that,
Exactly. So, my friend Daisy, I just want to, we'll keep talking forever, but good night, my friend. And thank you for being here, and big hugs. And you have a great night. We will see you next week. And, thanks for being here tonight. And thanks for joining our panel.
Thank you, guys. Enjoy yourself for the rest of the evening, and good night, chat.
Good night, everybody.
You, Daisy. Thank you.
Daisy.
All right. Well, and that was the great Daisy Blossom, Flower Child. Thank you. And go back and watch the movies we've done. The 3 Indiana Jones movies. We've done Demolition Man. We've done the Terminator series. Well, the 3 real Terminator movies. So we've had fun. But Hungry Boy, Bubba Doom says he wants to try to find that. Where did you find? Was this an archive.org or was this something else?
Oh, hell no.
No. Okay. No. Did we have a link for that where people could find it?
I will put it in the private chat for you so you can share it. Give me a moment, and JT, start talking.
Yes. There you go, JT.
Well, I was kind of going to question the source of this particular comic because some of the paper is obviously degraded and things. My question I wanted to ask on this, if anyone knows the answer, what the source of this was, because I'm thinking some paper somewhere has to have this, and it was scanned into a microfiche somewhere decades ago, and it may be of higher quality than this. Just my own personal thing that I was wondering. Maybe that was something for Hungry, but
yeah. Well, we got 20 people watching us right now, JT. How about that?
Oh, geez.
Growing tonight. So no pressure. So, well, we'll get Hungry's input on that when he gets back, when he puts the link in the chat, and I'll share it out.
I do have my own copy of it, but I think Mark D with the C was talking about this with us the other night, and he was saying it might have been on Tubi.
Yeah.
Amazon has it, but not in my region. So if you're outside of the US, you may be able to find it, or you have alternative methods of getting to Amazon.
Link is in the private chat.
Okay, I'll put it up there in a second. But look, Masters Maniac, Triple M said, greatest reveal 2023. Thank you, sir. You know what I mean? I like making Hungry torturing by waiting and doing different things, but hey, it's all good. So
I got no complaints.
Exactly. Man. So all right. So, but now go ahead, JT. Repeat your question for Hungry real quick. But look at Comic Relief Crusader. He said, "Say a prayer. Wife wants to watch Loki. I'm scared."
No. As a guy who Comic Book Relief Crusader knows what I'm talking about. With the guy who is a Silver Age Marvel fan and a Kirby Marvel fan, no, that's grounds for divorce.
Now this is where to find the episode, right? This links to where to find that episode.
No. The link was to the newspaper stuff. I didn't know you wanted episode.
No. He was wanting to try to find. No, he was wanting to try to find where to watch it.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies.
Because that's what I was trying to think of. What's this, an archive.org one, or I thought there was another link we used.
No, I had the archive.org, and that's where I actually saved episodes. But because we all know that people don't like having the good stuff being available compared to new stuff, it actually got taken down for terms of use.
Oh, so it's no longer you mean we happened to get it on y'all got it on archive.org before it went down?
That's what I did to watch the episodes.
Wow.
I should say rewatch the episodes. And when we first privately, since we already revealed it, no spoilers, when we were talking about this and we were in the group chat on Tweety, that is the link that I provided, but that link is no longer viable.
Well, sorry. Well, listen, if you have a Walmart near you, Bubba Doom, you might be able to find it in Walmart, because I found 2 copies in my local Walmart. So I would suggest that. You can check Amazon, you can check other places, but then again, you got to deal with all the regions and all that stuff and make sure it plays. And to me, it's just buy a DVD, but apparently there's other things. But you can shop around for it. Hopefully, you can find it somewhere. And
yes,
yeah,
and also,
if all fails, try Walmart though.
Also, when archive.org is mentioned, it is very important to go to the link and use it immediately, because if you think I'm going to wait for a week later, you're going to come back and they're going to be gone.
Yeah,
they're going to be gone.
Brian says the Australian Blu-ray set for Buck Rogers is region free. But hey, you want to hear a good discussion? Have me and the missus in Walmart talking about regions. I'm like, why can't I just buy a disc that plays all around the world? What is this region stuff?
Yeah,
it's like,
well, you can buy players that'll play from all around the world to mix success.
But I don't get that. Why are they? I don't know. My brain is down. So his Space Marines protect him from repairs. So.
Now, Hungry Boy, I had a question, and I think you might have been AFK at the moment. Do we know the method by which these were scanned in from this paper? The only reason I ask is these may have been done decades earlier by microfiche, and you might be able to find better preserved copies than.
I actually investigated that. I don't know. Okay. I have to be honest. I honestly don't know. I mean, these are the only records of this material that I was able to find this week.
Interesting. All right.
And now some people claim that they do have stuff, but a lot of people have said there are certain strips, like from one week to another in a certain year, that are just gone, and they were not recorded. They were not reproduced, and there's nothing we can do about that. Nothing we can do about that. That's just the way this kind of art form suffers. And this is also the case with, I mean, there's a lot of original art from comic books after cartoon strips became comic books, because comic books grew from cartoon strips. There is a lot of material that is just not there anymore, either in the original printed format or the original art format. And it's sad.
Which is a tragedy.
It is. Yeah. It pisses me off to no end. No. Let me say that in Big Trouble in Little China. It pisses me off to no end.
Yes. Well, speaking of that, we got the Mongol leader, and then this next frame over that you shared, and I guess
you can't say that anymore. You can't actually say Mongol or Mongolian anymore.
Still, it's what it was said here. It's historical, and I read what it is, and it's what it is. So hey, we got a raid on the Twitch side. Wader raid, Wade.
But that actually goes back to something I wanted to say, and I'm sorry that Daisy's not here anymore, where they knew. I mean, you're looking at 1979. Obviously, they're not going to do things that was acceptable in 1929 or even before World War II.
Well, like in this case, in this 29, she was set to marry the other leader in Los Angeles, and this is kind of like completely unexpected. There's Wilma like stuck there. Buck is trapped in the dungeon. So hey.
I mean, this was actually, and again, I'm sorry, Dave's not here. This was done in the newspaper strips. This stuff was acceptable at this time in history before certain censorship bodies were created. So you have that in films where after around 1934, that you had a lot of films that were a little bit naughty, shall we say. And after 1934, you had something called the Hays Code in films, and that affected movies and television. But it also affected the kind of work we're looking at here. So you could be a little bit here, but after 1934, no.
Yeah, we probably have a little more here. It's just interesting. I'm going to move through these next couple of slides since we talked about the artists, the art, the styles, and all that already. But yeah, go ahead and share this with everybody. I probably got these out of order a little bit, but just really a lot of detail.
Don't you agree? Don't you agree that it is with the previous slide you showed? Don't you agree it's amazing they were getting away with that sexiness in a newspaper, going for over 280 newspapers in the United States and 160 foreign newspapers.
I guess the thing is that I'm so jaded when you say sexiness. I'm jaded by the modern standards to me that I don't see that here, because, like we said, everything's been oversaturated ever.
Yeah, man, it's because they're not focused on the same area. They're focused here on legs. And your modern comics
and the posing and the posing,
but modern comics, they're like, how can we make the top of the woman look like a buttocks with like in interests were different back then at this period. So
Mark D would like that one, man.
Good to see you, Wade. We got 19 people here. You guys are rock. We hit 20 at one point. You guys are just amazing. We got 25 likes tonight. You guys have been off the chain. And so follow us the next few weeks for however long we go. It should be fun as we dig into these episodes. I'm excited.
Got so many ankles.
So many ankles.
Brian Hepburn says nice gams on Wilma.
That's why you wear those daggum dresses all the way to your ankles. Mm-hmm. You cover it all up, young man.
So, but no, so that's why maybe you're not picking up on it, Dad Man, because the modern image of a woman is different from what it was.
No, I agree. I
it's
agree.
Very racy for the 20s, but
I agree, especially now that you put in that the showing the exposed legs, stuff like that. Yeah, even probably sometimes it was exposed arms too. So yeah, I got you there, and that's understandable. And see, we got this, and we'll take a look at this.
I love that one.
Yeah. So it's just, I caught myself earlier while y'all were talking, starting to read these things, and I was getting sucked into it. The dialogue's good. It's challenging. It's sophisticated, and this is what was written for kids back then. Look at the intelligence, it developed language comprehension, reading, communication, expanding your vocabulary. Listen, Hungry, I love my SpongeBob. Okay, I love my SpongeBob, and my Beavis and Butthead, but that's when I want to be irresponsible dad man, not adulting guy. So
okay, I got you.
But yes, I agree. It's even looking at the comics like we showed the other night with Battlestar Galactica. The art, the language, the diction was different. You look at Star Trek animated series when it came out. It was not dumbed down. Battle of the Planets, even Gotcha-Man. Those things they were sophisticated with the verbiage, with the diction, and it wasn't just like all slapstick humor and gag humor. There was actually something where you can learn and you build learning skills and communication by being exposed to it. So, and like Pop Culture Republic said, they're tamed by today's standards. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, no. That is a very good point, Pop Culture. But look at panel 3 here. There are so many implications. There are PG-13, so many implications.
I know.
She's sitting on his lap that way, and he's clearly, shall we say, inebriated. Right? He's clearly inebriated, to use rolling the R. Inebriated, to use a Scrabble word, my son.
You broke into a Scottish accent.
Yeah. So you were from the other side of the world there for a moment.
No, well, actually, my great grandma was Scottish, and she knew how to throw a skillet at a bad man from 20 paces away.
Wow!
She would throw it so strongly that it would actually lodge into the wood of the wall. That these are the women I come from. But that's why I love Wilma, right? So there's this is what people don't understand today. Obnoxious is not equal or synonymous with tough. Tough is its own thing. A tough woman is their own thing, and just being snarky is not tough. Yep. Snarky is not tough.
Yes, but see, you got Lisa upset. Never throw your skillet. That's important equipment. That's important equipment,
Well, she knows.
Yeah, exactly. And see, Puppet said also, even Looney Tunes was intelligent.
But Lisa, the thing is, Lisa understands that you have a proper iron skillet and you season the iron skillet properly. She knows what I mean, and that makes the best scrambled eggs in the world. And Lisa and I are big fans of the good eggs.
But hey, even Mistral took it. I only know classical music because of Looney Tunes. Yes, I agree. It did. It exposed you to it. Yes, exactly. So, well, we got a few minutes left. We're going to go ahead and start to wrap up, but we got one more set of the comments because I think we covered it. Hungry Boy, is there anything that we've kept off your agenda? Because we covered everything about the 70s and the series. We got the number of episodes. We know kind of how it was set. A little background, people that appeared in the music. We talked about things like that I think was good enough for tonight as an overview without getting too into the episodes themselves. We've looked back at the history, radio, TV, comics, and we're going to show a few of the actual comics now that you sent.
Oh, good. Because I want JT to see this because JT is going to plots, to use a Yiddish word. He's going to plots over this Frank Frazetta.
You have got to start using words that I understand. Or send me a definition in the private chat.
Yeah. JT laughed though. He knew what plots meant.
Yeah. But hey, I love kill the rabbit. Hey.
Okay, I'm getting a beverage.
And you're about right about gas ranges. Mrs. insists on gas. She prefers cooking on gas anyway.
Do not use electric designed cookware like your pots, your pans, your skillets. There is a difference, and the difference on that is very important to make sure you're getting the heat properly distributed to whatever it is that you're cooking. And if you put electric on gas, it's not going to work the way you want.
Hey, but Mr. Niblick wants to see you floss. So could in Fortnite if you had the right emote, but
and people would pay to not see me floss. How about that?
That's more of an OnlyFans thing, I reckon. But
no, it's a Fortnite dancing thing. That's all. It's not bad. Pop culture said it's Republic said it's sad how language and culture have been dumbed down. And see, 100%. I agree, but I tell you, I do like my SpongeBob and my Beavis and Butthead.
No,
they do have
a joke between us.
I know it is, but I know it is, but because there are some comic elements in it. But you are right. I mean, there is a bigger point though. A lot of it's gag and short attention span, and and that's the difference versus like a Looney Tunes was still funny. But there's still a plot, a moral, and everything else to it, not just just a brain dump. The one episode you should see of SpongeBob is when he has to only do fine dining and breathing, and he evacuated his brain except for fine dining and breathing. So when he was asked what was his name, he freaked out and it caused a panic fire and all. So so anyway, but let's see. Okay, comic books. Here we go. This is here we go. Here.
The missus is gonna like this. I hope she's still with us.
Yeah.
Look at that art.
There we go.
Go full screen with this son of a bitch. Oh shit! Yeah. Swear jar. Damn it.
Golly. Hungry Boy, you're violating 3 credits for violation of the morality code. Man. Yeah. Hey, everybody in the chat, every time Hungry Boy does say a word, then do the or something in the chat. So
ack. Ack. Oh God. But look at the beauty of this octopus. Now JT, unfortunately, the interior art does not match this quality. This is a comic book thing. It's been a comic book thing since comic books started. It's also, as you understand, it's like with movies, particularly from the 70s, where you get this great movie poster and the movie does not live up to the poster.
Right. Yeah. Yep.
And this was a selling point. This was a competitive, capitalistic marketing ploy by comic books. And I'm pro-capitalism, so I can't complain. But it doesn't mean that somebody is disallowed to be disappointed in the interior pages of the comic book, which we call interior art in comic books. The interior art. Now, when you see the interior art on this this issue, no. But this cover is magnificent. It is magnificent.
Yeah, I agree.
And the reality of that octopus. Look at the anatomical reality of that dear, sweet 8-legger. Oh, I love it.
Every suction cup on that too.
Oh, the work ethic, dude.
Forever.
And that had to be inked by hand. Oh,
oddly disturbed by whatever is the orange section on that gentleman.
It's pants. That's Buck Rogers' pants.
Uh-huh.
So, no, I like that version of Wilma with the hair. So,
blonde hair. She's a 10 out of 10 easy on that.
I mean, she pulled the blonde hair look off. I mean, like, we'll talk about Aaron Gray next week and going forward.
And look at the legs.
Look at
the legs. And the thing with the legs, there's not like muscles on top of muscles on top of muscles where it's like, okay, you're going to have to wear like 50-inch waist pants to get over all the rippling, 3X stacked muscles. And then your kneecap has biceps on it. And, your calves are 50 pounds of muscle. Yeah, no. Realistic legs. There you go.
Now their musculature, and it shows the fact that she is actually a military professional, which Wilma Deering is, right? Yeah. But the fact is they're still feminine, not masculine. And I appreciate that. So that is the athletic female version of the leg versus just putting male legs and extending the thigh muscles a little bit to imply a female leg, which is artistically and illustratively incorrect.
And like you said, the kneecap. Wrong one.
He's trolling. He's trolling.
But actually, though. But in all seriousness, we may joke about that. We may joke about that. But back then, that was not a joke. Kneecap. I mean, there were like length requirements, especially for ladies on certain things. You remember, we used to have the full body swimsuits and stuff like that. So in a modern, we may joke about the kneecap showing, but that was it's sometimes in some places in the country or around the world, and maybe still to this day in some cultures, that can be offensive to a lot of people. So it is interesting to see that. So, but all right, so let's go to another comic. I'm going to go backwards. We got this one.
Look at this. Oh, the missus is going to love this one. Look at that. Oh, wow. That's, again, both of these, all of these covers that I shared with you are by Frank Frazetta, who is considered one of the greatest science fiction and fantasy artists of all time. And he's the most popular Conan paperback cover artist and illustrator of all time. And he is doing these things in black and white, even though he's mainly known for a painter. Being a painter, and just his drama and his staging of the event that he then puts into a 2D piece of art using brushes and nibs on physical paper. It is so much better than Tumblr crap. Just look at this.
I'm also noticing the evolution of these two characters by the terms of the attractiveness for each one of them, right? Much more focus for Buck Rogers there on musculature, particularly in the legs, where the 1929, it was just enough to dress smartly and look fit. For her, I noticed, you're more focused on the rear end and then, the chest region. So I'm trying to keep it PG-13.
Well, Hank, you can't do any worse than Hungry did tonight. He's did 5 profanities and he did something really. He talked about dating,
But her
that is the only time I've done it on your show. I'm sorry, I don't know where it came from.
I love it though. It was so out of context, and it was so out of the blue that it was comic gold.
I'm so careful to avoid that.
Her shape has dramatically evolved into something that would be for a later time than the 1929 comic, and it reflects.
Good point.
What was this from the late 50s?
Yes, approximately 58 to 59. Yes.
Yeah. So
oh my God,
this is what the attractive archetype was at that point in time.
There's a serious comment from Bubba Doom. He can see the Frazetta, but oh my God, Buddy Hepburn, I'm going to have to time you out. Think how they dress in the village. No! We are the village.
Nice, buddy. Thank you, buddy. Thank you. Gosh. I love you, buddy. God, I love you.
Pop Culture probably had more of a Boris Vallejo fan, but kind of love that Frazetta art.
A lot of people say that. And that's also like Steve, otherwise known as Thor on Sunday Geekery. Right? And when we talked with him, and he was a magnificent guest on your previous show that was supposed to be an hour long. And then he came on, and then Mark came on, and Clavi came on. But Steve actually prefers, being an artist himself, he actually prefers Vallejo to Frazetta, and we argue about that. We argue. We don't. Well, no, I would say debate. We don't argue. But Frazetta is
we fervently discuss.
Yeah, that is perfect. Fervently discussed. Thank you.
Mr. Niblick did have some interesting questions I could not answer.
I just want to hear about this, about how did these fare with something like Action Comics. I know different tastes and audiences but people being dumb in the droves when they lump Buck Rogers and Superman. Then he goes on to say, like, how many kids missed out on reading this Buck Rogers comic because they're offensive and misreading stuff like Superman and stuff because of assumptions.
That's a whole nother stream. But I mean, I love the fact that Mr. No, it's a whole nother stream. Seriously.
Yeah.
Because I worked in this industry, Mr. Nibley. So the thing is that Action Comics and Famous Funnies, meaning the Buck Rogers stuff, are two entirely different kettles of fish. They were published by different people. So there were different agendas, so to speak. And therefore, you are working towards a different objective, artistically and in terms of publication. So it's very hard to answer that question in the limited amount of time we have now. But if you come back with that question to me at a later time when we have more time, I will be happy to answer that in detail and respect your question.
It's one of those squirrel tree to tree, nut to nut things we can do on a late night with Dadman and friends, or when we do a chill stream or something.
Yes. But I don't want to
angle.
I don't want to show disrespect to Mr. Niblick. I want to respect him, but it does actually different. A lot of people don't realize that different publication companies and different production companies, like studios, right? You look at studios who create movies or television shows. They have very different attitudes over what they create and why they create them.
Well, see, Pop Culture Republic's also saying, don't know how many times I've discussed Vallejo and Frazetta art with friends over the years. I can join them both. The point is, what I'm trying to make is, this may not be the series and streams to do that going forward, because we're going to be looking at the show and the series. But when we do late nights and if Hungry's on, when we have no topic, where we're just squirreling from tree to tree, that could be a time to discuss it when we have some time and we can dedicate it to it. I don't mind hitting some serious stuff on those streams if it's a time to discuss something like that. It doesn't have to all be the laughter's great, but you know what? That's all I'm saying is, hey, we got streams and we'll have time just come from one of our chill streams. So, and also, no, and I will say, I did not take you to derail the stream on that. That was a serious, valid question. A good questions.
Very much.
Just join us. We do need to wrap up in the next 5 minutes. And we got, and the Friday night streams will probably not be the best for that. But when we do something where we have no topics and we're free to go sit 20 hours, would be a time we can hit that.
But Dadman and JT understands this, because JT and I have been on other channels with other people, right? So the thing is, I just because I'm the comic book guy and I know this stuff and it's been my profession, I don't want you to get sidetracked into something that's not a particular interest to you.
But listen, it never will be. I'll promise you, because if it comes up boring, I will tell you and I'll cut it off. Okay.
All right.
But you know what? But all honesty, what I've said, the chat is what I am here for. I'm here for the chat too. And if they have valid questions and really, I mean, I like this. I find it interesting, and I'm willing to take a look at it a little bit. Now, it won't be the whole 3 hours, but maybe give it 10 minutes and, and kick it around. I like learning new stuff. I've said that before. The whole purpose of the channel is to be with people, learn new things and all that stuff. And I do like questions like that. But if I'm not in the mood, if I'm being grouchy grump, I'll tell you, and we'll just move on. So here's one more cover. We got a few more pages we need to get through really, really quickly.
I love the bright yellow tights. I'm just comment that bright yellow tights.
I love those too, and they accentuate the legs. They really accentuate them. But at the same time, again, it's not being vulgar. There's nothing vulgar about this art at all.
Yeah,
Cool.
and
she's
see,
not
Pop
trying
Culture,
to be a man in this either.
Yeah,
I'll just say that, so
right,
many times,
and he's and Pop Culture's talking
they
about
try to make the woman try to be a man. Sorry, Dad, man.
No, it's the old style. I agree. It's really, really good too, because you see the long blonde hair, flowing blonde hair, and the skirt and all that. But what Pop Culture Republic's pointing out is a knife that may or may not be going through the leg, which is down here.
Yes.
Actually, it is going through the leg. It looks like it is going through the leg. He's got the knife.
Oh, no,
leg.
he's dropping it. He's falling down. He's dropping it.
Okay,
and,
all right.
And I know that as an illustrator.
But that's interesting.
The other thing that's great about Buck's costume here that I really love, he's got this huge, massive star on his chest, which is basically saying, I'm the star of this comic book. Take it or leave it.
Exactly. Well, we're going to look at, this is an ad that was in.
Oh, look at that.
Yeah, there you go. Buck Rogers Rocket Rangers. Self-addressed stamped envelope to Buck Rogers. Yeah, nowadays you couldn't trust anybody to get the envelope to send back to you, no? Yeah.
True.
Yeah, exactly.
Take that, Amazon.
Drop on our ouch. And mistresses were boring. Keep on, please. We got a few minutes to go, and here's some of the color comics here.
That's the interior art that I was mentioning to JT. So you see the difference in the interior art to like the cover art?
It's not the same artist. You could tell that for sure.
Yeah.
But
exactly. So
that's too bad.
Yeah. And we got another page here with that.
But it's still showing the fact that it's adventure. It is stuff that you will be able to give to your 12-year-old nephew without worrying about it. And we have an introduction of a character here who is wonderful, Rosie. So Ramjet Rosie, she's wonderful. Unfortunately, the thing is that she was kind of a replacement for Wilma, and I don't like that. But the thing with comic books, and then JT understands this, you understand this. People think, we got to change things up to make it new, or we're going to lose the readers.
And I cannot stand that.
Yeah. All right. Well, listen, we got 14 of y'all still here. We need to wrap it up tonight. But hey, folks, we've been going 3 hours. Thank y'all for being here. We still got 14 of y'all here. Hit that like button, subscribe. We're still trying to get to that 500 mark, but hey, this was a blast tonight. Y'all come through rocking, and share the word out with other people. We're going to have fun with this as it goes forward. Having a lot of fun with this series. So any last thoughts, Hungry or JT, before I do some final announcements? And join us next Friday, 9 p.m. as we look at part 1.1 and 1.2, Awakening.
No last thoughts for me other than I am very excited as a first-time viewer of this series to see what it's all about, and I'll probably end up watching it at least twice just to really get all I can off of it.
Look at Mistral. He's like going to screenshot and going to send in to see what he can get for his quarter.
Yeah, well, your stamp is going to be 3 times more expensive than
exactly. Or Bubba says the USPS would lose it, so. Well, hey, don't leave yet. I want to get some channel. There's upcoming events I want to tell y'all about real quick. So hold on.
Yep,
just
stick around for a moment, folks.
Hungry, do you have any rapid, quick thoughts?
Yeah, I got a rapid, quick thought. I'm really looking forward to what JT has to say about the show, and being the kind nerd elder to my little Padawan, JT. I love that. I
love that. And I look forward to see what you're going to say, Hungry, because
thank you.
Absolutely. So let me get there. Okay. So on that note, let me tell you there's other stuff coming up. There could be a crazy late night stream, either way ridiculously late tonight or maybe tomorrow night. Who knows? You never know what happens. Mark D with a C. JT, if you could put the link for Mark D with a C's Fortnite, it's going to happen in about 15 minutes. Hope to see y'all over there. Go tell Mark hi. Dang it, I still had the wrong slide from the misses on this one. But hey, Sunday night is our next big stream. Halloween candy, the good, the bad, the epic. Complete with you, not only me, Hungry Boy, but the missus will be here, folks. She was out here in chat a little bit, helping us a little bit tonight. But hey, she will be here, and you will not want to miss her and her fascinating voice, and hear her standpoint. And we have a special guest Sunday night at 7 p.m. October 29th. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one. Mrs., I don't know if you're around or quickly. I do not have your slide, but hey, definitely come for this one. And then next week, you'll have to follow me on Twitter to get the next things. Next week, we've got more football later in the week. And there's the few appearances I'm going to make on other channels next week. But the best way to do it is to follow me on Twitter or X at DadmanWalking55. DadmanWalking55, that complete name with this avatar. Make sure it's spelled correctly. There's no other substitutes. If it's not DADMANWALKING55, it's not me with this avatar. Even if it has this close to the same name or even the avatar stuff. But listen, I made it one-stop shopping. YouTube, Twitch.
One-stop shopping.
Yeah. X, Twitter, whatever you want to call the damn thing. Dadman Walking, DADMANWALKING55. And hey, the missus is okay. And like Jess puts it here. So, oh yeah, he'd take all the bit of honey. So come and join us for a wonderful stream.
Oh, I forgot about bit of honeys. Oh,
yes. Mrs., if you have that slide of yours available, she disappeared. She popped in and popped out. Dadgummit.
Just stretching for Fortnite,
Damn it, Mark. Damn it, Mark. We'll still blame Mark, but hey. So hey, but listen, and Mrs. Dadman is going live soon. November 6th will be her first stream with a Lego build. That's going to also have a Doctor Who theme, and her guide through the Doctor Who universe that night will be none other than Hungry Boy. So hey, and this is hey.
Yeah, I know. No, dude. I don't
think I was supposed to add her right there. I think she was bringing up the. I think she was supposed to bring up the slide for me. So.
Oh, okay.
Hey, yeah, yes, exactly. Except no substitutes because that actually got interesting.
And recently. Also, just before we go, I just want to say, Mr. Mistral Niblick was actually pretty fantastic in the chat tonight.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
I appreciate that.
We do appreciate it very much so. Thank you for being here. There's the Twitter address. So I'm giving her 1 second to see because I think she's going. There we go. All right. So here we go. Oops. This is Mrs. November 6th, 8 p.m. Building with Mrs. Dadman Walking 55. This will be her inaugural stream as she builds a Lego Doctor Who set and share a little about herself with a special guest, Hungry Boy Doctor Who guide. Monday, November 6th, 8 p.m. Eastern time. And you can, it's a little bit small. We have the Peter Capaldi, the Clara. We got your salt shakers. I mean, Daleks out here.
Okay, good.
You got the Matt Smith.
No fake 13th Doctor.
No, you got the Matt Smith, and you got the great Weeping Angels. Doctor Who's not complete without Weeping Angels, my friend. So.
We won't talk about the 14th Doctor, JT.
On that note, we're going to get out of here before anything else happens. So, but hey, folks, thank you for being here. Remember that Dadman Walking 55 at YouTube, Twitch, and on Twitter. And we will see you next time. Bye, all.
Bye, all.
Good night.